time I close my eyes.
Yes, guys, welcome back. How is everyone? Hope you're all doing very well on this. What is it? I don't know what day we are. Is it Thursday? Thursday evening, Thursday evening. Big up to everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Keeping warm because it is effing cold out there. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's proper cold. But big up to everyone here already. Yeah, this is a late live. I didn't know I was going to go do a video tonight, so I do apologise. This is going to be sprung up on people. People might not be aware of it, but yeah, I am live, guys. Tell the world. Let everyone know I'm live, guys. Letting everyone know I'm in the house. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Dubai Cup, Liverpool versus AC Milan tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk about some transfers, of course, as it's Liverpool. We're going to have to talk about some transfers. We are coming up to January. And we're also going to talk about some stuff that's happened to me today on Twitter. Yeah, so... yeah, we're going to have to talk about that because the people have been coming for me, man. People have been coming for me. You can't argue against some people on Twitter with their agendas, and I think we need to talk about it. I've had enough. I've got my own platform. I'm going to chat about it, and some people who need sorting, you know what I mean? The link is in the live chat. Anyone wants to join. The link is in all the WhatsApp groups as well for anyone who wants to join right now. You're all more than welcome. Just let you know when you come in. We are going to talk about the Dubai Cup transfers, any other Liverpool topics you guys want to talk about as well. We're going to chat it up. Big up to everyone in the house already. I appreciate it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all the good stuff, guys. We are live, and I've got a lot of things to talk about today. Especially on social media. So yeah, the shit that's been happening to me on Twitter today is, it's got to be stopped, man. Literally got to be stopped. I'm getting sick and tired of it. I ain't lying. I am getting sick and tired of it. You can't talk to anyone on social media about football anymore. Because your opinion don't matter. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're getting to now. So no matter what someone's opinion is, as long as if it's not with the agenda at hand, you don't know what you're talking about. That's all I ever get now. You don't know what you're talking about. This is the sort of person. This is why Liverpool are the way they are. This is why Liverpool have only won one Premier League trophy in 30 years. Like it's my fault. It's just ridiculous. And I've had enough of it. I really have. I have absolutely had enough of it. And yeah, I'm going to start calling people out. Because in my opinion, there's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of bullying on Twitter with some Liverpool fans. There's a lot of bullying, and I've had enough of it, man. They talk their game. They get all their cronies in as well. that follow them. And yeah, I'm not having it no more. I'm not having it no more. Things need to be said. Things need to be said. I'm going to bring my man John Moore in the house. How you doing, Johnny boy?
All good, mate. All good. Thank you very much for having me on, mate.
Always
Appreciate it.
welcome. Always welcome. Yeah, live links in live chat, guys. Anyone wants to join? Also in the WhatsApp group. So Baz and Cav. I think Cav will be on his way soon. He's just walking the dog. And he'll be in as well. So we're going to talk about some stuff. But I've had enough of the look. So John, you obviously saw what I put up on Twitter today.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's anything bad. I don't even think I said anything that bad, you know.
Well, that's the thing. You actually, I mean, all you did was you looked at the transfer, obviously the Jude Bellingham transfer. You looked at it as a different way, and you looked at it as right. That's a lot of money. Is there any other way that we can improve our team and maybe get more players in with the same kind of money?
Oh yeah.
There's nothing wrong with looking at things that way. You actually made a very valid point.
I'm gonna get it up for everybody because I'm gonna share. Big up, Baz. I'm gonna share this out. So, right, I'm gonna share this, guys. So be 1 second. I'm gonna share the screen with people. Where am I? There it is. Right, share this. I'm gonna share my Twitter. I'm gonna share my Twitter screen, right, guys. So this is a tweet I put up earlier. Nothing to Barry. Barry's fine. So this ain't on Barry. I'm just replying to his tweet. So as he said there, was so predictable we would be priced out of a move for Bellingham. Expect the same for Enzo. We'll end up with Sanderberg, Anfield Rap, and FSG Men TV will pretend they are delighted, and Klopp got his man. Right. Look, big up to them guys. Yeah, you can tweet what you want. I don't give a shit. Yeah, but we have got to stop. Look, if you don't like Red Men TV, why do people keep acknowledging them? If you really don't like Red Men TV, why do you keep acknowledging them? They're a massive YouTube channel. It's their livelihood. It's not like me who does this as a thing. It's their livelihood. It's their business. It's their job, right? If they see things differently to you, it doesn't mean they're brand nosing anyone. Why do we live in this world where if you disagree with a certain bunch of people that have got a different agenda, why is that considering brand nosing or sucking up or getting they're on FSG side so they can get interviews and things like that? That's not really the case, is it? What they're doing is just doing their job. It's their livelihood. And they have a different opinion. And what if they are brand nosing a bit? Who gives a shit? They're getting the likes of Jurgen Klopp on their fucking channel. Do you know what I mean? Pep Linders on their channel. Jordan Henderson on their channel. Mo Salah on their channel. They're getting exclusive interviews and things like that. You're telling me no one would want that on their channel? Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's their livelihood, man. They got like 500,000 Liverpool fans that subscribe to their channel. Look, I always look at it like you look at AFTV. Have got over 1 million subscribers on their channel. It's like the biggest sports. It's the biggest football channel on YouTube, probably. Yeah, Arsenal Fan TV. But a lot of people that subscribe to that channel are not Arsenal fans. I subscribe to that channel because I go on there to see when it all goes wrong. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. It's the funniest thing ever. That's why I subscribe to it, and that's why a lot of people subscribe to it. But Redmen TV are legitimately got over 500,000 subscribers that are probably all hardcore Liverpool fans. Yeah.
Facts.
And they have got to please and keep the people that watch them happy. Also, they have their own website where they do a lot of stuff behind a paywall that thousands of people pay for. It's what's keeping them in money. It's their job. It's their livelihood. And when people keep saying about, they're brand nosing, they're sucking up, are they? Or are they just doing their job? And if you don't like them, don't acknowledge them. Why keep acknowledging them if you don't like them? I don't get it. I don't get it. It always reminds. When you really, really like somebody, but you have to you have to do everything in your power to pretend you don't like them. right? That's what this is to me. This
Yeah.
is what it is to me. Just leave them alone. Anfield rap. Leave them alone. Leave them all alone, right? If you don't like their content, stop listening to them. I think people got it in their. I think people got it in their mindset that every Liverpool fan is getting, they're like turned by the likes of Redmen TV and Anfield Rap and stuff like that, and listening to them and oh my god, I've got no brain of my own, so I'm going to acknowledge everything they say and believe everything they say and go down that watering hole. It's like no, no one's mind's being poisoned, no one's brain's being poisoned, no one's being. No, FSG ain't doing something amazing where they're like, oh my god, they're literally polluting everyone's brain to be with them. No, some people might just like them. Some people might not some people might not like them. You know what I mean? It's just that fact. I don't mind FSG. John don't like FSG. Do me and John hate each other? No.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's just.
Jimmy, I won't say arguments, how many disagreements me and you had over the past what, year and a half, whatever, about FSG, and not once will we ever feel out about it.
No.
Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Exactly. But the problem is you need to respect other people's opinions.
Exactly. But these people don't, unfortunately. And this ain't to this bloke on Twitter, by the way. He's fine. I like Barry. He's fine. But so I just put that as a response. I put, is Jude worth 150 million? What skill set does he have that you can't get from someone cheaper? Right? That's all I put. I didn't actually say there I didn't want him, or I think he's trash, or I think he's god awful. That I didn't put any of that. I literally, and it's got a question mark. There's a question mark next to the sentence, which makes it a question. What do people not get about this? You know what I'm saying? I just put, is Jude worth 150 million? Question mark. And what skill set does he have that you can't get from someone cheaper? Question mark. Which in other words means, tell me, I'm giving you a question out there. Give me an answer. In all these answers, by the way, that of all the tweets I've received back from this year, no one answers the question. No one gives me a player. Everyone just calls me stupid, deluded. I'm the reason that apparently Liverpool. I'm one of the fans. And this is what I love, yeah? I am one of the fan bases, yeah, that are the reason Liverpool have only won one Premier League in 30 years. I'm one of the people that, I'm at fault for this, yeah? I'm at fault because I give, because I don't go with that agenda, right? And then people went, oh, he's not going to cost 150 million, is he? I was like, oh, it's a question mark at the end of it, man. So, it's not a statement. I'm not putting a statement out there. I'm just asking a question. It's just, if Liverpool look at it, right? So Liverpool Football Club, if they think this is the reason, the whole reason this has all come out today, by the way, is because Marca, the newspaper in Real Madrid, put out a statement saying Liverpool look going for Enzo Fernandez's buyout clause of 77 million because they see him as a cheaper version of Jude Bellingham, right? And that's why all this has come out and everyone's saying typical FSG, blah, de blah, blah, de blah. And when you look at it from a business point of view, from what they're thinking, is Enzo Fernandez that much worse than Jude Bellingham, but being like 30 million cheaper, and they're the same age almost? Right. It's not like you're going from Jude Bellingham to Sander Berg. Do you know what I mean? You're going from Jude Bellingham to Enzo Fernandez, but Liverpool might be looking at Enzo Fernandez because he's 30 or 40 million pound cheaper than what Jude Bellingham's going to be.
Very true.
And if they got the same, and as I put in my tweet right there, if they've got a similar skill set, they got a similar skill set, but Liverpool going for someone who's a bit cheaper, that doesn't mean they're buying a worse player. Do you know what I'm saying? And all this Jude Bellingham stuff, right? I think Jude Bellingham is a fantastic footballer, yeah? I hate the word generational. People are saying, "Oh, he's a generational talent." Is he? Because I think he's a very good footballer, but I'm still not sure what he's great at. See, when I look at him, is he going to open up? Is he going to be that creativity that we need in midfield? Because all I keep hearing from Liverpool fans all the time is Liverpool lack creativity. We need more creativity. Jude Bellingham's not a creative footballer. He's a box-to-box footballer. He's not a creative footballer, right? When I even tweeted back to somebody and said, what's the difference between Gini Wijnaldum's skill set and Jude Bellingham's skill set? Because they play very similarly.
There's not much anything about it.
So this is what I'm saying. Is Jude Bellingham this untouchable 19-year-old? Is he much better than Pedri? Is he much better than Gavi? Is he much better than Musiala? Is he much better than Musa who plays for America? Are all the same sort of independent sorts of all around that sort of age? Yeah, you're 19, 20, 21-year-olds. Yeah, are they all very similar? Are one's light years better? Is Jude Bellingham that much better than everyone else? This is the question I put here. You would have thought I asked something ridiculous, yeah? And I've had lots of replies, as you can all see here. I love this one. First of all, he's not going to cost 150 million. Secondly, who's cheaper we can get that's better than him? There you go. That's my favourite one. That's my favourite one. So you're telling me there's no footballer, there's no midfielder as good as Jude Bellingham in the world? Is that what you're telling me?
That's just a bullshit statement.
It's just ridiculous.
It really is a bullshit statement.
And by the way, this ain't me sticking up for FSG, by the way. I'm not sticking up for FSG because everyone knows I'm quite a supporter of theirs. I'm not against them as much as everyone is. But everyone knows I've turned the tide a little bit and I believe that it's time for them to go.
Yeah.
You know, I've said that millions of times, right? But to just say a comment like that, first of all, he's not going to cost 150 million. Secondly, who's cheaper that you can get is better than him. So Enzo Fernandez is cheaper than him. Is there much difference between Enzo Fernandez and him?
Not really, no.
It's Bellingham, this all-out machine that everyone keeps telling me about. For me, he only had two good games for England at the World Cup. He went missing against France, got substituted. He went missing against America, got substituted. By the way, they're the two teams we played that had better midfields than us, or equal midfields to us. And he couldn't conquer either of them. And he went off in both games. You know what I mean? And one of these people come back to tell me they watched every Bundesliga game of his last season. I'm calling them out.
But
Jimmy, doing me head in.
People seem to forget in that is Jude Bellingham a good player? Yes, Jude Bellingham was a very, very good player. There's no arguing about that. But what people seem to forget is we were all shouting about Jordan Sancho. We were all shouting we want the Jordan Sancho at Liverpool. We want to break 100 million Jordan Sancho. Has Jordan Sancho really came to the Premier League and done anything, really?
Yeah.
So you're willing to spend
150
million on a player. For all we know, he'd come to the Premier League and then he could be a flop. And that's my biggest worry. About spending that kind of money on a youngster. And we don't even know if he's Premier League. He's not even Premier League proven. We don't know if he can cut it in the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is it wrong to maybe look for a different option? No. And this is where I will stick up for FSG because at the end of the day, it makes good business sense. It's terrible business to actually below 150 million on a 19-year-old. If you know for a fact you can go spend 60 million and get the player of just the same ability.
Yeah.
And I hate FSG and I will stick up for them on that one.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just have one thing in your mind and nothing else. Otherwise you come unstuck. No, this is another tweet. I love this one. This is my favorite. This must be one of my favorite ones. This is one of the replies I had. So it says, is Haaland Is Haaland worth the wages he's on? Question mark. Why didn't City get another striker with the same skill set for cheaper? So, same skill set for cheaper, yeah, for Haaland, right? Haaland went to Man City officially for £50 million, yeah, right? And he's arguably the best finisher in world football. So that's a pointless comment, right? It's just pointless, right? Can you see the conversation? No, I can't. If you want the best, it's not about skill set being similar. It's about getting the best and not settling for similar. So that don't make no sense.
No, it makes no sense.
Because if you're going for someone who's similar but they're cheaper and got the same skill set, how is the more expensive one better? It just makes no sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Baz, big up the Cav. Cav back on the show.
Big up.
Big up, Baz.
No, it don't make sense. None of it makes sense. You see, this is a circus. This is the thing. At the end of the day, Mo Salah wasn't the most spectacular player. You know, there was a lot more household names than him. Yeah, we bought him for a modest fee. Yeah, was he the best at the time? No, but he fit the system. So I don't get what the problem is when it comes to, you know, if we're looking at different options. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, no one wants to spend more than they want to. So I don't get what the problem is.
It's just madness. It's just madness. So how you doing, Cav? You all right?
Yeah, how are you guys doing? You good?
Yeah, we're good. This is just my
good.
beef. This is my beef on Twitter today. I'm just going through. So yeah,
Maybe causing trouble.
You would have thought I shot someone's nan today. You really would, right? All I literally put, right? I'll come back. Look, this is all I literally put to a reply. So that's the tweet there. This is nothing about Barry, by the way. Big up Barry. He's fine. Yeah, I've got no problem with Barry, right? I was just replying to his tweet, right? Because obviously Marca come out with their thing on Marca about Liverpool maybe looking at Enzo Fernandez now as a cheaper option to Jude Bellingham, right? Got no problem with that, yeah? So I put in as a nothing comment. I don't think this is a hurtful comment to anyone's ego. I just put, is Jude worth 150 million? Question mark, right? Got to remember these question marks. What skill set does he have that you can't get from someone cheaper? Question mark. Now, Cav, I don't know about you, but I don't think that's a horrible what I've put there, right?
Nah, it's a fair question because...
And no one's answered the question, by the way, as you can see by all this.
I was just going to say.
It's a fair question to ask because, you know, this would probably be a bad example, but loads of people want Caicedo from Brighton, right? And I guarantee that someone will sign Caicedo and then Brighton will go out and find someone who's just as good for the following season. You know, like they did replacing Bissouma with Caicedo. And we always sit here when these transfers happen and go, where did they pick up players like that from? You know, like, where are they scouting these players? So to sit here and say that there's not other players out there, right, it isn't true. It's just that we're not finding them, you know, quite to that level. You know, maybe you could argue maybe one or two. Harvey Elliott's a good buy and Carvalho might come good. But in talking about, you know, 19, 20-year-olds that are amongst some of the best in the world at this present in time, we just don't seem to be finding them players until they've, you know, everybody's aware of them. So I think it's a fair question to ask. Yeah, is there somebody else out there? And I'm sure what you were trying to do is say, look, tell me someone who's okay. If they're not at Jude's level, are they around his level? Are they got everything he has, bar one or two attributes? You know, in which case can we get them for half that stated price? So I think it's a fair question. I think the answer is I don't know. I haven't seen that player, you know, because when I think of players kind of at Jude's level at the minute, around the same kind of age, they're also probably at the same price point or unattainable. I don't know if there's a player that offers what Jude does at his age that you can get for less money. But that's not to say you should disregard the question.
No, exactly. I mean, look, Trudon at least gives, like, he tells me, look, what Jude's good at. That's good. That's what I want to hear. You know, unfortunately, I ain't got people like Trudon in these Twitter replies. You know, a good bloke. I've got morons.
The thing with Jude is like, it's okay. So what he can do on the pitch, right? He's energetic. He's too big. He's strong. He's not the fastest player, but he gets about the pitch well. You know, he's box to box. He can defend quite well. He can press quite well. He can get into the box and get on the end of crosses and score the odd goal. You know, he can get the odd assist. And then, like, mentally, he's quite strong. You know, he's a born leader. You can kind of see that in the way that he tries to, you know, grab the game by the scruff of the neck. He tries to be the guy that, you know, dictates tempo and gets on the ball and puts himself about, you know, and the experience of playing in the Championship, playing in Germany has helped that. And then you look at the fact that he is English, you know, he'll tick that homegrown quota. He's 19 years of age, so he's got, you know, plenty of time left in his career. You add all them things together, and that's what builds the price tag. Now, you can probably get a similar player with similar attributes, but do they have the mental attributes that he has? You know, do you see that player as a future captain, which a lot of people see Jude as? Are they English? Because if they're not, certainly for Liverpool, that might be a slight problem because of the homegrown quota. So I don't know, like I say, how many players are out there that are similar to Jude, but he's definitely a top player. And look, in my opinion, no midfielder in the world is worth 150 million. But you know, if you was to pick 5, I think Jude would be in there.
Yeah. Look, Jude's a good player. I just don't think he's as great as everyone makes him out to be. That's all I'm saying. Go on.
No, go on.
I look at Jude. I look at Jude's. I look at what Jude does, and I've already said he don't do anything different to what a Gini Wijnaldum done for Liverpool, in my opinion. And I just don't see what's so special about him. That is just my opinion. I think he's very mature for a 19-year-old. He plays very maturely. The people go on like he's generational and the second greatest. He's the second coming of Gerrard and all this shit. That's my head in. I don't see the proof here. And this is the tweet. So this knob jockey right here, yeah. Right. This is the fucker who pisses me off because this geezer moans about FSG every single day of the week. You know, he's got an hard on for him. Let's face him. So he's re-quoted, obviously retweeted, like quoted.
It's a fucking damn not me. Don't worry about it.
He's quoted my tweet, obviously, yeah, where I've just put his Jude worth 150 million ? I think people are forgetting the question mark in all this, right? What skill set does he have that we can't get from someone cheaper ? Which means I'm asking a fucking question out there who is quite similar to Jude, but might be very similar to him, as good as him, but might be a cheaper option if we can't get Jude. It's what the fucking question mark's about. I wish people read. Do you know what I mean? Before they tweeted, right? And then I'll get this. This is the same sort of mentality is why we only have one league in 30 years. So I'm to blame for why we only have one league in fucking 30 years, guys. There you go. Always going for the cheap option. Does these plums know how many times Liverpool Football Club since the 1992 when the Premier League started have broken transfer records, by the way? Have broken transfer records. And we've won fuck all. Right? So don't start with that bullshit. One time we didn't with Alisson and Van Dijk. We won the Premier League. Yeah. We also bought players like Salah and Mane that you guys didn't want to our football club at the time. You know, for 30-odd million pounds that you guys didn't want to our football club before. Oh, why are we buying a Chelsea reject? He's not good enough to be at Liverpool. Yeah, he'd be all right on the subs bench and coming on, I suppose. 5th greatest goal scorer in Liverpool's history. You know, so he's a cheap option, was he? Konate, 36 million. For me, a cheap fucking option. He's one of the best young defenders in world football right now. I've seen defenders equally as good as him, or maybe not as good as him, going for more money. So when they tweet this bullshit, they don't. It does my head off. And by the way, this same guy has been slagging Liverpool off for not getting the likes of Camavinga, who went for just under 30 million, cheap. Didn't go and get Valverde before he went to Real Madrid, who only cost 4 million, cheap. You know, so if we got them, my friend, the cheap options, as you like to say, we would still have no league title, would we, you fucking plum fucker? You know, it just fucks me off. I'm sorry. These people, they tweet you. They tweet you all the time with this BS because they're so against the ownership of the football club. But they don't fucking read the chat. He's slagging me off. And because he's quite a big he's quite big on Twitter, right? He's quite big on Twitter. You get all his knob jockeys coming at me, you know what I mean? All his suck boys, yeah? Yeah? Apart from this lovely Chloe here, you know, Bellingham's so overrated. I'm real big up Chloe. But I'll get everyone else. Pull down your pants, John, we're with you. No one's read the question. 2 questions. Is Jude worth 150 million? Second question. What skill set does he have that you can't get from someone cheaper? Where in there have I said I don't want Bellingham?
I think
2 questions.
I think the word cheaper is what gets on people's nerves, but it's a true thing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a true thing. You know what I mean? Like, we've got players on the cheap that are done well for us. You know, I think there's certain triggers that Liverpool fans are looking at this moment in time when they see your likes of your Cities, your likes of your Manchester Uniteds, even Arsenal's or whatever. People are putting in money and we don't put as much, but they don't understand. They're not really absorbing everything what we've done over the years. We've done things on the cheap. Yes, we've done things on cheap, but we have smashed transfer records. We signed a goalkeeper that was a transfer record, then only for Kepa to be, you know, more than him. We've done the same thing with obviously Van Dijk and then Maguire. It's not a problem. I think a lot of these fans, they just got to be real about things. You know what I mean? Listen, if I get a brand name top here and it's like worth £100, but I've got it for 35, I don't care. It's the right thing, you know what I mean? It's the thing. I don't care. And these people are talking about generational talent. So I had to get this one in there. You can't be a generational talent, yeah, when there's nothing in that generation that's come yet. You know what I mean? He's only 19, for God's sake. Talk about generational talent when he's around, like, I don't know, 28, 29, or when he's a
generational talent. He's finished playing. That's when you look back at him and go, "Oh my God, he was a generational talent." You know?
Yeah, but the thing is, you make a great point. You can only say a player is generational when the generation's passed, because then you can line him up against every other player that's come in that generation. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah,
because this is the point I make with
Eve was a generational man because there's only 2 fuckers on the planet at the time. You know what I mean? It does my head in with this generational politics.
That's almost better than one of your candle fucking. No, don't bring up the candles, man. I'm sick of hearing about this candle. But do you know what, though? Do you know what? And this is why I raised the point about Brighton, is like everyone thinks, oh, Casado's a fantastic player, just like everyone thought Basuma was. And at the minute, everyone thinks, Jude's the generational. But like in 6 months' time, there might be another player. There might be 2 or 3 players that were like, actually, you know what? They've come good in the past 6 months, and they're actually as good as Jude. And you know, but you know, time will tell with these things. You can't just call someone generational at the start of the generation. You know, got to wait and see what happens.
But a German midfielder in Germany called something Wirtz?
Florian Wirtz.
So, yeah. He's injured at the moment.
You've got Pedri, you've got Gavi, you've got Gravenberch, you've got Musiala, you've got Florian Wirtz. You've got loads of midfielders out there. But this is why I made the point. They've not all got the attributes that Jude has. Some they've got better attributes, some they've got worse. But they're either unattainable because they're already at big clubs and then clubs ain't going to let them go, or they are also worth 150 million if Jude's worth 150.
This is what I'm saying. When, like, there's so many players you can get, right? Everyone keeps telling me we need like 4 midfielders, yeah? Well, if we're spending 120 million on Jude Bellingham, it's going to be very hard to get 2 or 3 more in the door. We got to look at it as like, look, everyone goes back to cheaper option. Alvarez is playing for Argentina right now. Went to Man City for £17 million. So if we got him, Alvarez in from Argentina at the time, he's an Argentinian international. He's just gone to the World Cup final. I think he's scored 7 goals in his last 8 starts for Argentina. He's on fire. City fans already love him. You can see the man's got full potential. If we bought him as a striker for 17 million, yeah, are we going for the cheap option or we done fantastic scouting?
No, done fantastic scouting.
Exactly. So all this cheap, we'll go for the cheap option. It's such a poor debate. It's such a poor debate. So, yeah, to some, Jude Bellingham is like the player for Liverpool Football Club. And he might be suited to Liverpool Football Club. And he's got great ability. You know, he's got great drive for ball. He can get the ball. He can drive at teams with the ball. He's very good at that. He's got a good pass at him. He's big in getting the box, winning aerial headers. He's not the best finisher in the world. He's not going to score a barrel of goals. Yeah. But he's going to give you a lot of energy in that midfield and technical ability. And he can dribble past players. He's very good at that.
Jude Bellingham we're talking about?
Yeah. He's decent at that. Right? So are a lot of footballers in this generation, by the way. What everyone's forgetting, though, with all this, where everyone's getting hyped up about it all, and, you know, these FSG people, these people on Twitter that completely hate the ownership, want them gone, they can't wait for new investment, and all that sort of stuff. What they don't seem to realise is that Jurgen Klopp's our manager, and he likes his midfielders playing a certain way in his system. Look at Gini Wijnaldum. Perfect. Everyone he plays for is an attacking midfielder. Newcastle, attacking midfielder. The team before him was it Final Four? Attacking midfielder. When he plays for the Netherlands, attacking midfielder. When he plays for Liverpool, number 6. So, you know, Harvey Elliott is a more than a winger. He's an attacker. He prefers being further up the field. Klopp made him a number 8. What tells everybody what no one likes to talk about, because if you bring up the Klopp stuff, you're anti-Klopp and you're pro-FSG. That's all they say, because they've got no intelligence between their two ears. You know, there's nothing there. So it's one or the other. You can't be, if you're anti-Klopp or if you say anything about Klopp in a bad light, you must be sucking John Henry off when Linda ain't looking. You know what I mean? It's one of them. Yeah? I mean, I'll fuck if he paid me. But, you know, it's one of them. You can't have this realistic conversation. I dare put that on my Twitter, by the way, as my replies, but I'd probably be annihilated. But what about Klopp with Bellingham? Will Jurgen let Jude be Jude from Borussia Dortmund?
I think it. Just a quick answer to your question, Jamie. I think he will. Yeah,
hopefully,
and I think Klopp's also changed slightly from when he had Gini Wijnaldum. You know, that midfield, he stumbled upon a midfield. Stumbled is probably a bit insulting, actually. He put together a midfield that was hardworking, you know, and was the engine room and allowed the forwards to sort of do all the work up the pitch. And then he covered the ongoing fullbacks, and that was the system, right? But he recognises now he hasn't got that. So he's tweaked it to have, you know, Elliott in there, who is a bit more creative, you know. And I think the thing that people get excited about with Jude is like he can do all that work that we would typically ask from a midfielder and add goals and assists. You know, not only would he do that number 8 role so well, he has that ability to get in the box and score a goal. He also has that ability, like I mentioned earlier, if we're not playing particularly well, he is a kind of guy that can be a leader and sort of get the game by the scruff of the neck and, you know, start getting his body about, start, you know, not necessarily dictating tempo, but him and his running and his aggression and, you know, forcing the ball and stuff. Because you kind of seen it a couple of times for England, you know. I thought towards the end of the England-France game, before he came off, he was actually the player that was getting about and demanding things and showing that passion on the pitch. I think that's what people really like about him. So I think he would perfectly slot into a number 8 position for Liverpool, because like I say, he's got the energy, he's got the work rate, he's got the tackling ability, he's got, you know, the experience of playing in Champions League and all these things that I think, he could go straight in there. I don't think Klopp would put him in there and be like, right, you just need to be defensive now or whatever. I think that number 8 position in a Liverpool team is go out and do everything. Do everything. Make sure you get involved in the attack and in the defense. And
I agree. Look, for everyone on the chat and everyone watching and who's listening or whatever in the replay and all that sort of stuff, right? I want Jude Bellingham at Liverpool. I'm not saying I don't want Jude Bellingham at Liverpool. I'd love Liverpool to go and buy him, you know, do something this January, get him in the summer so it's all done and we can just relax about it, yeah? I am totally wanting Jude Bellingham at this football club. All I was saying, at 120, 150 million, that Dortmund might ask for him, because I don't see him going under 100 million, right? Is there a player out there? Because you have to be like this. If you own a football club, You have to be there and go, look, Jude Bellingham's the player we want, right? It's the player we want. At 19 years of age, it's going to be great for us for the next 10 years. This is club for life. We're going to put so much money into him. But if Dortmund play the hard game and he's like, they won't take nothing less than 120 million, is there a player out there that's got a similar skill set, similar abilities, around the same age range, that is like 30 million cheaper? For me, you're not proper businessmen if you're not thinking like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
You have to be thinking like that. You can't just be, it's Bellingham or nothing. Do you know what I mean? Because then you get stuck. And then you have what happens this summer, where it was Tuchemeni or nothing, and they knew Bellingham weren't available this summer, although they tried and was told to go away. Then they were stuck, and Klopp was like, I don't want anyone else. Because Klopp's after that sort of ability. He's after that sort of ability. He wants somebody in the frame of a Bellingham. Tuchemeni and Bellingham, sort of similar players, yeah? You can see what Klopp was after. He was after Tuchemeni and Bellingham, right? But he wanted Bellingham. I think they were trying to get a deal done where they get Bellingham the following year. No, he weren't coming this year, but wanted to do something. But Borussia Dortmund told us where to go. But they wanted Tuchemeni. Tuchemeni was all done, by the way. And everyone talks about like Tuchemeni went the price for Tuchemeni went for Real Madrid, by the way. Liverpool weren't paying that for him. That deal, the price we had for Tuchemeni at the time, I think was around the 40, 50 million mark. All right. He only went to more than Real Madrid because is it Monaco? Monaco knew how much money Real Madrid had because they just tried to buy Mbappe. Yeah. So Monaco upped the price on it. But Real Madrid didn't come calling. Tuchemeni would be a Liverpool player for around 45, 50 million right now. So, and look at that for a fucking footballer. He's quality. Do you know what I mean? And that is half the price of Jude. Do you know what I'm saying? So when people say that all this about cheaper option and this is the reason we don't win anything. Look, the best Liverpool midfield I've seen in the Premier League era was under Rafa Benitez, right? Yeah. And we won fuck all with that midfield. Mascherano, Gerrard, Momo Sissoko and Xabi Alonso. We had the best midfield in the world song around Anfield. That was an amazing midfield. Didn't win anything with it.
You know what? Jude is a brand name.
The midfield we won with was Gini Wijnaldum, James Milner, who everyone hates, Jordan Henderson, who everyone hates. This is what confuses me as Liverpool fan base. We adore Xabi Alonso. We adore Mascherano. We adore, people love Momo Sissoko. He's a bit of a club, an icon at the club, yeah? Right? They all adore them. And obviously, Stevie Gerrard.
Nobody talks
Stevie Gerrard, yeah? Right? And we adore them players, yeah? That won fuck all. Right? Probably apart from Xabi Alonso won a Champions League. But when their midfield were together, it didn't win anything, right? Then the midfield that won Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Super Club, World Club Championship, yeah? Won it all, right? Won it all. The fan base hate. This is what I get confused about sometimes as a Liverpool fan.
You're going to have that in every fan, in every community.
It's unreal.
The thing is, Jay, it's because football fans think if you sign the best players, it guarantees success, and it just doesn't.
Well, look at the Madrid Galactico side that couldn't win the Champions League while they had all them players.
This is the thing.
They're just brand name players. All they are is just brand name players. You know what I mean? It's like, you can go and get a standard guy that plays for Bournemouth, for no disrespect to Bournemouth, but, any player, if it fits the system, these people will become legends. These players will become better. You know what I mean? They've got a good coach in Jurgen Klopp. So it makes no sense. You know what I mean? You buy whoever fits the system is what they should be getting. Jude Bellingham, I love Jude Bellingham. I'd love to see him at Liverpool with the ties and all the rest of it and whatnot, yeah? But if it fits the system, I don't get what the problem is, because if we're winning leagues, I don't care who's winning the leagues. Jamie Phillips could be up front with Cav at the back here and John in midfield.
You flip the team sheet there.
Mate,
if I'm at the back.
You see, I've been a fan for so many years. I've seen some absolute winners, yeah, and I've seen some absolute dog shit players, yeah. But you know what? I don't care. If they're playing well and they're winning things, these players are going to be in the team of the year. You know what I mean? Even if Jude Bellingham went to Manchester City, all right, and we brought in, I don't know, some guy from Bournemouth or something like that, or from Queen's Park Rangers, yeah, and we win the championship or we win the league, we win whatever, he's going to be in that player of the year. And then people are going to be looking other players sideways. This is what's the most important thing. It's what's best for Liverpool. They know it better than us fans. I mean, we see that we need investment. But I'm sorry, if we bring in players in and they're on the cheap and they're doing the job, what's the problem?
Well, we all want the Sancho. Last season, every single Liverpool fan wanted Jadon Sancho. Every Liverpool fan wanted him. We were all shouting for him. We all thought we were getting him. Has he really done much?
Big up Biscan.
So who says Jude Bellingham's going to come to the Premier League and rip the Premier League apart? Jude Bellingham can come to the Premier League and be a flap.
He could. John, you are dead right. But what I would say, if there was ever a player that I can think of in recent history that I would back to come in and do well, it is Jude. I've seen so much in this kid to think, he's going to...
I want Jude Bellingham. No, everybody knows I want Jude Bellingham. Nobody wants Jude Bellingham more than I do. But you also have to think about the risks.
Oh, definitely. And John, just to add to your point, right? If we'd have got Jude last summer, I think, perfect. You know what? We've got an incredible squad and we're adding an incredible player. We're future-proofing and we go, right? Liverpool got to recognise where we are at the minute. Like, we don't just need Jude. We need, as Jamie's alluded to, 3 midfields. We need to think about, the defence in a year or two's time with Virgil getting on and Matip leaving and Gomez's inconsistencies and injuries. Konate's looks like a banker to be a world-class player, but there might be a player we have to get there. If Ramsey doesn't come good, we might have to look at a Trent, alternative. And then we got the forward line. If Nunes don't come good, if Jota and Diaz remain, not so much Diaz, sorry, but if Jota's kind of a little bit injury prone, to be honest. And then you look at, we've still not got cover for Salah. There's areas of this team in the years ahead that do need players bringing in. Right. And if you sign one Jude Bellingham for 100+ million, and that means you can't get, players elsewhere, it probably isn't the right move to make.
There is that possibility, Cav. But at the end of the day, we need to look at what is going on with this club as well, in the sense that they might actually have money now, or they might be getting in the money. Where we can go and get players out like this. We could get both of them. It's a possibility. How likely? It's not really likely. But Liverpool, this is what they're so good at, keeping things very quiet. Mm-hmm. We are just speculating. We're just going to keep thinking this, thinking that. There is a possibility that we can get these £150 million players. We don't need to be spending £150 million on a player every season. No. But Jude Bellingham, like you said, he's got good morals about him. I do like what I see. And I think he will potentially be a superstar wherever he goes. At Liverpool, will it suit him? You never know. But you know what? There are players there at a certain age where he can simply come in this team, and be there for the next 10 years. And he's, and he's still got, he can be there for 7 years or whatever, and then even go to Madrid or whatever. I don't think that's the kind of player. I don't think that's the kind of guy, because he seems very homely and stuff like that. But you never know. Sometimes money talks, or if there's any issues.
And this is a great comment here as well, right? If Aaron Batt is such a good player, why didn't we get him a year or two ago when he was worth $5 million? This is, I agree with. Me and Cav spoke about this before.
Yeah, we've been saying this, Jobo. Yeah, we've been saying this.
Liverpool have been looking at. There's a lot of players Liverpool look at, that eventually, Liverpool were interested in Valverde before he went to Real Madrid, But there's always this thing in the back of their mind, I think, is that, what if they're just not, let them go and see if they go somewhere else, then we'll go and get them. Liverpool have done this for a long time now, and I think that is one of the mistakes, maybe in their recruitment, that and Liverpool. I know everyone's going on about, we're just going after Amrabat because of the World Cup. It came out last week that Klopp spoke to Amrabat and his agent before the World Cup started. So Liverpool have obviously been looking at Amrabat for a while, and then they've seen him in the World Cup as well, and he's like, well, might be the perfect kind of player that can come into our midfield and help out Fabinho. Because I don't want Fabinho going anywhere, but he needs resting. I've got no DM in my team where I can afford to take Fabinho out. That's why he plays all the time. Hendo's legs are getting slower now. So he needs someone like that. And you saw Amrabat yesterday against France. what he did to Mbappe, that tackle, Jesus Christ.
Do you know, Jed? Do you know what frustrates me though?
That tackle. Fabinho ain't getting there. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what frustrates me though? Is like, let's take Amrabat for example, right? How many games has he played in this World Cup? 6, 7.
Yeah,
Are you telling me that we've scouted a player and then we've watched 6, 7 games and that's convinced us? Because do you know what I mean? Are we really judging people off of 6 or 7 games? And if we've watched him even more, why has it took 6 or 7 games in the World Cup to convince us? Do you know what I mean? I would like to think that Liverpool, the most successful club in England, right? You know, one of the richest clubs in the world, right? Have scouts all over the world, right?
This is it.
Why are we, right, now looking at a player like Amrabat after a World Cup? We should know about these guys before.
Do you know something, Cav? All right, this is where the problem is. All right, it's the scouting for the last God knows how many years. Yeah, we've had some problems. You know, we've had some big problems. Like for example, Enzo. Does anyone know Enzo was nearly going to Wolves before Benfica got him? They wanted him. You know what I mean? Even Jude Bellingham, we were linked with him. We wait too long. Our scouting, we don't take, you know, when Klopp was talking about we don't take chances, all right? I don't know in what context he meant that, yeah? But we do need to take chances with some of these players because you know what? It's ending up costing us a lot in the future because if we did get an Enzo, right, it's going to be around £100-ish million mark or around that kind of thing when we could have simply got him for 5 million or whatever it was they spent, you know, they bought him for 6 months ago. Jude Bellingham, same sort of thing. Dele Alli, I know his career went, you know, sideways, yeah, but we wait too long. And this is what pisses me off as a Liverpool fan. You know, our infrastructure, people talk about our infrastructure. We've got decent infrastructures, yeah. In some ways, I'm actually happy with these two that are one that's left and one's potentially going, you know, the transfer people, yeah. We need to go back into scouting players the old-fashioned way. That's the only way we're going to get, you know, in an overinflated market, yeah, you know, we're going to get players, good players.
Yeah. I think like part of Liverpool's recent success is the fact that Klopp's had like a core 15 players that he relies on in the big competitions. And then in the cup competitions, you know, we've relied on the kids and then throw Origi and Minamino in there, right? And I'm all for that. You know, you can't have, you know, a full rotation of squad every year. You do need players that, you know, you remain loyal to and, you know, they perform for you and they know the system because they played for it for so long and they play with the players around them. I get all of that. But if you're going to have a core 15, right, why have kids making up the rest of the squad? Just, you know, take a chance on these guys like Amrabat for 5 million, like Valverde for 4 million. If you've been scouting them from a young age, right, or for a few years and you think they've got something about them, bring them in. If it doesn't work out, we can move them on again. At them kind of fees, you're rarely gonna lose out, right? And I just it does kind of feel like we kind of miss a trick with it. You know, like I get that we signed Minamino and he come in for the cup competitions and then weren't quite good enough for the level and he moved on. But why not do more of them deals? Do you know what I mean? Because they are out there. Why am I seeing Nat Phillips and Reiss Williams still in the squad? I get the homegrown quota, but I can tell you what they offer this Liverpool team, and it's very little. So move them on. Try out 2 new players. You know, Bacetić, he seems like a great kid. He seems like he's got potential. Get him out on loan and get someone else in the squad that's got a bit more experience and you think's more promising. You know, I'd even argue Carvalho is probably not going to play a part for this squad. Get him back out on loan and get someone else in. Yeah. You know, there's no harm in having 5, 6, 7 players that you think, yeah, we think they're good, but you know, we're going to hold fire until they make a move somewhere else before we do anything. Yeah. You know, just try it. I'm not saying change 20 men, you know, 20 out of the 25 men squad a season, but you can change 6 or 7. You know, in the background, you know, as long as you're getting the right personalities in and stuff. Obviously, you can't get people in that are going to upset the camp because they're not playing and stuff. But Liverpool I think they've failed in this department. And then obviously through the reluctance to sell the big players, that's obviously hampered our incomings and transfer fees as well.
Let me read you this stat about FSG. Yeah. So on a net basis, the Reds have spent nearly as much as 70 million as Bayern Munich, 88 million. looking at transfers. Since FSG acquired the club in October 2010, Liverpool have spent 1.1 billion gross spend. They have been significantly outpaced though by Chelsea 1.8, Man City 1.8, and Man United 1.5 billion. So in the years that Liverpool are the fourth highest spenders in the Premier League under FSG. And if you look at Man City's wealth and United's wealth and Chelsea's wealth, that ain't bad going.
No.
So you got to look at it. It's completely different to the American system. Obviously, American system, in their teams, NFL, whatever, they don't buy players and then wages. It's completely different in football. So they're actually spending more money in a way at Liverpool than they are with any of their American sides because all they're doing is paying wages. So they are spending money. So I'm not going to act here like they're cheapskates because I think that's a bit harsh because I can't call anyone a cheapskate when they've spent 1.1 billion in 10 years. You know what I mean?
The thing is, we've got an identity, Jamie. The thing is, we've got an identity. We're playing good football, right? We should have been getting in players. I mean, last year and the year before, this was happening. This was happening. You know what I mean? We were going to have issues with our midfield. We could see this coming before. Why are we now going to the point where top four we might not make top four for whatever reason? Injuries that are coming in, you get to see these players. You know what I mean? That we've got an identity and a system. And Liverpool needed to do more. They need to do more. They need to spend a bit more money because if you spend more money, I'm not stupid amounts of money, but to keep that team topped up, you don't have these problems.
Fact. I think that's what frustrates most fans with SSG, Jamie.
Yeah,
we're not. No one's saying FSG don't spend money. We can see they spend money. But
there's
certain times where for a fact they can go that wee bit further.
I agree.
Not being willing to do that, and that's the big problem. That's why a lot of fans have a big problem with FSG. Had they went that wee bit further when they should have done, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about FSG.
No, I agree, man.
Little tweaks. Even when you look at last year, we were 2 games away from winning a historical quad with the team we had, apart from Mane. Mane's the only one. All right, Origi and some other, went in, but we didn't replace these guys.
No, that's been a big issue this summer. We are missing that sort of player in our squad at the moment, like a Minamino, like an Origi. We haven't really got that in our squad right now. And obviously, the sad news about Luis Diaz being injured again.
I'm worried about him.
Yeah, it's his ligaments in his knee. So basically, the ligaments snapped off his kneecap, didn't they? So there's actually nothing holding his kneecap in place. So his kneecap could sort of like slide down his leg. A bit like happened to R9. When all the ligaments come off his knee. So it's sort of like that with Diaz. But the way Diaz moves, his knees.
And Gomez.
Their knees, he could have knee trouble for a long time now. Jota is obviously going to be back. So the news of Jota coming back in January looks good. I love that one on Twitter as well. So the news broke that Jota's going to be back in January. And everyone straight away is like, oh, typical. Jota's going to be back in January, so we don't have to buy an attacker. Like FSG decided when Jota's going to be fit. I'm sure John W. Henry doesn't even know the fitness status of Jota right now, let alone he's going to be back in January. It's just stupid. It's just that is his date. He's back. It just falls in January. Why do people make such a big deal of it?
The thing is, though,
back, I mean.
I worry for Jota and Diaz as well, because when they come back, Liverpool's hopefully still going to be in 4 competitions. They might come back and they'll train for a while, and Klopp will try, be reluctant as he can to throw them in. But it might be a situation where needs must, and they have to get thrown back in there, because without Diaz and Jota, we only have Firmino, Salah, and Nunes, don't we? unless you put Carvalho in that front line. So
we've only got three attackers. We do need an attacker. And
you're pushing for top four. You get past Real Madrid and you're in the Champions League. You get past City and you're in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. That's still a lot of football to be played in the second half of the season.
This is a thing, Cav, we need to talk about as well. I don't think this is spoke about enough. Why do we get so many injuries?
I think it all comes down to Jurgen Klopp.
I don't think it gets spoken about enough because surely the players we're buying, everyone rates, yeah? No, there's no one I don't know who don't rate the signing of Jota, the signing of Luis Diaz. I think people are now rating the signing of Darwin Núñez, especially after what Carlo Ancelotti said. Everyone's like, oh, maybe he's a good player. It's just ridiculous. It's just, you look at these players, yeah, but the injuries, man. Naby Keita had 12 days out injured in the 4 years before he joined Liverpool. It's just,
I can't even get that name. I'm not even entertaining.
Has always had injury problems, but not to this extent he has now. Joe Matip, he spoke about it himself. He never really had injury problems like this when he was in Germany. What is going on? Why do we never talk about this? Why is this point never brought up? Is this point never brought up because people are scared to talk about what it could be the reason behind it?
I think it all comes down to Jurgen Klopp. I think Jurgen Klopp's to blame for the injuries. It's his training. And I think the injuries have hit us so bad this year because of pre-season. I think we did too much in pre-season.
I look at it and see it's the players. I think it's the players that we've bought in. That's the problem. Yeah, with Jurgen Klopp as well, with his certain things. But I mean, there's like every footballer. Being a semi-pro myself previously, yeah, there was different timetables for different players and their needs. Do they do that these days?
Right. So
I think the reason that it's probably not been highlighted so much, Jay, is because it's the same players that are getting injured.
Yeah.
And so we instantly, but we all sit here and go, we don't expect Ox to be available this weekend. We don't expect Naby to be there. We don't expect Curtis to be there because he's always picking up unexplainable injuries. Not even injuries sometimes. When he gets like bloody stuff in his eye and all sorts, doesn't he? Ear infections and that. The same players let us down all the time. So I go into most match day squads not thinking we've got 25 men. I think we've got 20 because the same 3, 4, 5 are just never there. I mean, they're just never there. And then you add in, and Diaz injury is just genuinely unfortunate. It's an impact injury in a match. Jota one, he has the same, but they seem to happen kind of frequently now. Henderson, he's always been a bit
before we bought him.
I don't know, but he
Jota.
always seemed like he was there for Wolves.
I don't think he got any injuries at all.
Jota did have little niggles, nothing major.
Like he has now. This is my thing, yeah. Like, and you're right, Kev, what you say is always the same players. And this is what I've been banging on for ages with. Why are they still at our football club?
Jurgen Klopp.
These are the players we should have got rid of to make room for players that are more available, right? For good players coming in that can replace them more available. I know that with Keita, they're probably thinking, well, they put a lot of money into Keita, and they're probably thinking, Klopp probably thinks he does rate him. Klopp always talks about Keita in quite a high standard. I think Klopp actually really rates him as a footballer. So,
Jamie, he's a brilliant player. He is.
He's a tremendous player.
He just can't stay fit. And this is
Klopp's taking his chance with him, thinking, I'm going to keep him. But the problem is, when it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, we're in our 4th year now, and I think in them 4 years he's played 9 months of football. You've got to be like, should we have sold him 2 years ago? Can we see a thing now? What are we doing behind the scenes? Surely there's a thing where you can see, right, the injuries he's getting over and over and over again. We're seeing a thing now where this might continue. So do we want to keep him and think about getting someone around him and, so if he's not available, we've got someone in. But the problem with that, we have got too many midfielders at our football club. I know everyone wants all these players.
None of them are reliable.
But we've got
none of them are reliable. That's the
central
problem.
Midfielders. We've got 10 to 11 central midfielders. The problem is you've got quotas that you've got to meet. You've got a wage thing that you've got to keep steady. You can't have, you buy Jude Bellingham in, you can't keep then 4 midfielders that you never go use. You know, you've got like Jordan Henderson's been at the club almost 12 years. Is it time to move him on? You know, you have to have these conversations. And I don't understand why we don't have these conversations more.
Do you know the reasons why? It's because of Klopp. It's because of Klopp. People love. I love Klopp. He's done a lot for Liverpool, yeah. But sometimes you have to look and think, why are these players still here? You know, when I look at my team have got a lot of like injury-prone players, a lot, and to get rid of them is going to cost FSG a lot of money. Now, the thing is, when Klopp talks about, you know, no, we don't need midfielders. No, we don't need this. I don't know what he's thinking, what he's doing with this, yeah. But the thing is, all right, he's now going to end up costing whoever owners we have, yeah, or if we have FSG, a lot more money. Because if you want a good quality team, you got to have players that, you know, that you rely on. I love Thiago, but Thiago's not, he's a luxury player for me. He's a player that, you know, he does more of the work, yeah, at the back than he does in midfield, like, you know, to go forward and stuff like that. And that's what worries me about players like that. We are burning players out, yeah, and players are getting injured for whatever reasons, due to Klopp or his training methods or his coaching staff or whatever. What bothers me is the fact that he still keeps these guys. They need to be sold on. And when they do, you know, if they do get sold on, you'll have to bring players in, but you'll get good quality players. If you keep with the same old, like, you know, nasty bunch, you know, rotten, you know, egg in the, you know, basket, yeah, then what's going to happen? You're going to have these problems, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I always tell my kids or tell people, you know, if you have a little issue with your car, sort it out now before it ends up costing you a lot more in the long run. That's what it's going to do for Liverpool.
I think part of the issue is that we spend so much time in our recruitment, and when we sign the player with, you know, I think they don't go for anybody, do they? They're willing to wait for players, and they identified the perfect target and they get them. And when that player comes in the door, obviously Klopp sees them on the training ground every day and he thinks, oh yeah, they're brilliant, you know, exactly what we want. And then, you know, they're not available for match day. And it must be hard for him to detach from seeing the quality that's there. And he's seen, you know, for so long when Liverpool have been scouting the player to now having them, but they're just not available. I feel like Kate is a perfect example of that, where he sees that quality almost every day in training, and then he's not really taking a step back and looking at, okay, how much has he played for me over the past year, and then got and just letting go. You know, he hangs on to them so long, and he like really believes in them, you know, and he becomes like their friend, you know, a father figure to them. He really cares about the players, and he really wants them to do well. But sometimes that blinds him to the truths that they're letting him down.
We won't succeed with that mentality.
Yeah, and the other issue is, like, you do have to give players time to prove themselves, but as time goes on, if it doesn't work out, their value drops as well. So suddenly, you know, I think everybody here agrees that we should have sold KR, you know, if not last summer, the summer before, but would have took a hit on the money we would have got for him. So we're always banking on the player coming good at some point to then let go. I mean, Ox was in the shop window this summer, and then he gets injured in pre-season, so he can't move on. But they might. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we could all sit here in the summer going, Kate is not going to help us next season. Ox ain't going to help us next season. Yes, we're going to lose money on them. You know, we're not going to, or at least we're not going to recoup the fee that we paid for them. But you just have to take the hit. You have to free up the spaces in the squad and go out and spend. And you don't have to spend big, because whoever you brought in would have added something to the squad, because quite simply, them two players had nothing. So anything would have been an improvement, you know. And I think that's where they've failed. And
they bought these particular players, all right, to do something. They weren't squad players. They were players that in essence should be starting. This is the killer about it. This is what makes me feel, you know, there's problems, and you know, the manager needs to have that uncomfortable talk about the manager, because not ruthless enough.
100%.
We've seen it once or twice, but you think any of these players survive a Pep squad? Not a hope in hell. They're gone, and that's why they're successful, because you don't always need money to win. You need a good team to win. It's a team game. I don't care if anyone talks about Jude Bellingham or an Mbappe coming to Liverpool, whatever, a superstar, yeah? No superstar makes a team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, Ali, you say that the uncomfortable question needs to be hard. I'll ask students, if Jurgen Klopp hadn't have won a Premier League title, would Jurgen Klopp still be at the helm?
Yeah,
Probably,
he would.
probably,
He would. He would because
Yeah, I think
he built to get
a
there.
relationship, ain't they?
He built to get there. We knew from the first season, I would argue that okay, this is a manager that can take his places. We might have just still been on that journey. You know, you say the Prem. Obviously, we won a Champions League prior to that, so there was already evidence there that Klopp could build a team to make us win the major honours. If we hadn't won it that year, I think we'd all just be sitting here going, it would probably be next year. You know, it would probably be the year after that. You know, and that's probably not a great mindset to have because at some point you have to achieve it. But there was so much faith in Klopp and what he was doing and the football we were playing. We were signing better players. You know,
this is system.
Jurgen Klopp has a lot of credit in the bank, and so rightly so. No one wants to see Jurgen Klopp lead the football club, but you need to come to a point where if it is no longer working, if Klopp does keep hanging on to these players who we all know are not any good for our football club, and we're finishing in say top 4, we're going to need to start asking the question: is Jurgen Klopp maybe run out of time?
Yeah, I think you don't ask that question for. Look, even if Liverpool fall out the top 4 this year, I still think he gets. I still think he gets the following season. You know,
Yes.
like I think he's got so much credit in the bank. There's so much evidence there that you really have to go through quite a sustained period.
Yes.
It's guaranteed now that he's probably not right, as opposed to thinking, you know what, we're not too sure. I think if you're uncertain on Klopp, you stick with him until you've had a couple of years where you're like, no, this simply isn't working now. Then yeah, fair enough, but.
Yeah,
that's my opinion anyway. It's got
with our injuries. Look, it's the style we play as well. You know, the way we play with that high press. You know, you're bound to get more injuries in that way. So I look at it and thinking maybe we should be buying players that are a bit more. You know, I'm not. You got to do your work. So when we buy players, the way we set up, we're a high pressing team. We take a lot of risk for high reward. Klopp always speaks about that. We're a high risk team. Yeah, that's why we concede a lot of chances in games because Klopp wants to play that way where Klopp goes into a football game wanting to win. Some managers set up games. Gareth Southgate will set up a team. Will set up a team not to lose.
We haven't done that in a while, though, Jamie. That's the thing. We haven't pressed.
Well, we do still set up team. We still set up a team to win. That's why we give away so much chances at the back.
Yeah, but the pressing, we don't do that no more. Very rarely.
We don't do the pressing anymore because Henderson's 87 years old. Milner's dead.
This is
you know.
I hear you. That's the point.
That's why we need new blood in midfield, and the pressing will come back. I've always said it for ages. Me and Cav have said it as well. Like Liverpool don't need a world-class midfield to be successful.
No,
they just don't, and it's been proven. You know, Gini Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Milner, Ox, Henderson.
There are players like him available. We're just not looking at the right places.
And went on that 2-year run, unbelievable. That 2-year run of winning the Champions League and the Premier League, we're arguably the best club side in Europe. Very hard, you know. It's very hard to say that it's not true. Right.
Jimmy, did we possibly miss out on them players?
And
Wolves?
And we didn't get any of them players in. And now you look at it and you think, right, does Klopp believe in his system? If Klopp still believes in his system, and this is why I feel like our transfer policy in certain areas under Klopp and FSG, why they get on quite well as well, because FSG give Klopp total freedom. Klopp has total freedom to do what he wants at the football club. He's got his system he wants. So while he's been there, because FSG made a mistake, because when they didn't know much about it, they had Damien Comolli in charge. Damien Comolli was buying Andy Carroll for 35 million. You know what I mean? And FSG didn't realise, and it took them a couple of years, and they realised, hang on, this Comolli geezer shit. You know, we need to change the way we do our job. You know, they got Michael Edwards in. They got, you know, Mike Gordon had more influence in the club. He stayed over in England looking after this side of the business. They got Michael Edwards in. They got Ian, what's his name? Ian, I can't remember the computer analyst's name, who don't get enough credit, but should get loads of credit for the work he does. And Jurgen Klopp. They became a team. They've got a strategy going forward, what they're going to buy, who they're going to buy for a system that Jurgen wants to play. Took a few years because FSG just haven't got the money Man City can do and just change it around in 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a while. They got where they wanted. Liverpool started being successful. Then FSG probably let Klopp down a little bit by not getting the players in, maybe just to keep it going. But still, I've always said the year Liverpool won the Champions League, I think Jurgen Klopp's the one who made that mistake by not wanting to buy anybody. He's gone on record and said that. You know, he was happy with the squad and he thought that squad was going to do something special the following season. And he didn't want to put any disharmony into the squad. And that's why we didn't buy anyone. That's why we only bought youth players in. And going forward. And now you look at it, and it could have been a bit of a mistake. Because
just quickly to add to that, and that's fair because like to win a Champions League and to win a Premier League with the same core of players, they must have been of quality, and some of them we're saying that were the best in the world at the time. So it's fair to think that these players that have just won a Premier League are going to be good enough to challenge again. So I don't blame him for that assessment.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that as well. I mean, when you see your team just win the Champions League, go a point, but finish the league on 97 points, and you look at them players at the end of the season, you feel, right, this is a special bunch of boys I've got here. And I feel they got to do something special next season. Mm-hmm. Do you really want to go and get anyone that could upset that? So that's what Klopp's thinking. And if he's talking to FSG about that and thinking, you know what, I think these boys are going to be special next season. They're all fit. They're in a peak of their fitness as well. They're in a peak of their age. They're a peak of their technical ability. I used to lose all my players after being successful at Dortmund. I'd be successful at Dortmund. I'd lose a player to Bayern Munich the following season, no matter what. No one wants to leave this football club. You tell me a better trio than Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, and Sadio Mane at the time. I've got Addison in goal now. Tell me a better goalkeeper. Tell me a better centre back than Virgil. Tell me better, more creative fullbacks than Robbo and Trent. When you think of it like that, you're like, he's got a point. And he did have a point because we went on and destroyed the league the following year, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So he had a point about it. Where FSG might have been like, is like, right, we're going to get one player in, yeah? But then the following summer, when we won the Premier League, we went and bought Tsimikas, a left-back everyone said we needed cover for Robbo for. Good bit of business. We bought Thiago. I mean, Liverpool bought Thiago after winning the Premier League, yeah? And then went and bought Diogo Jota. It weren't the worst transfer summer. No one left. You still had your Moes. You still had Virgils, who came back from injury. You still had Mane. You still had Bobby. Hendo was still there. I think that was the year Genie left, wasn't it, after the Premier League season? I think Genie was the only one who left. So you're looking at him thinking, that weren't terrible. That weren't terrible. We just brought a Thiago from Bayern Munich, who everyone is rating as the best around, to Liverpool after winning the Premier League, right? You've just bought Jota from Wolves, who came in and scored 12 goals that season. You got Virgil coming back. You got Addison in goal. And then it all went tits up. No, it's the year Virgil got injured, weren't it? We couldn't descend that league. And then Virgil got injured. Matic got injured. Gomez got injured. We've got no centre-backs. We couldn't defend our title, right? It was the middle of the pandemic, the worst crisis in a generation to humankind. And, Thiago weren't the player he was at Bayern Munich, coming from a pandemic, coming different countries. It was just an awful time. Any other year, without them injuries, them three centre-backs, and you got time to bring in. Remember, it was back-to-back seasons as well. There was no break. It was back-to-back Premier League seasons. It was a 5-week gap. So it's back-to-back Premier League seasons. You just brought a Jota in who had no pre-season. A Thiago who had no pre-season. If we didn't get them injuries, you could be looking at back-to-back leagues. So that weren't too bad. And then obviously the next 2 seasons have not been good enough. And that is FSG's fault. I'm not going to sit here and say FSG didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah. They got everything wrong. I know everyone goes on about the January transfer. Why didn't we get blah in? Because Jurgen Klopp wanted Konate. FSG wanted Konate. Leipzig was still in the Champions League, and in their contract, written in his contract, if as long as he's still in the Champions League, he can't leave in January. So we couldn't buy him. So Liverpool were like, we don't have the money to facilitate getting another player and plus Konate in the summer, plus keeping Gomez, Matip and Van Dijk. Then you've got to have a discussion about going, right, if we do that, then we've got to let Joe Gomez go. You know, because you're not selling Van Dijk and Matip. So no one wanted that discussion, so we didn't buy anyone. We got we got a Ben Davies they did because it was money they could make. That was a mistake by them. And Quebec was, might as well bought Cav. You know what I mean? That was terrible.
I wouldn't have had such a good song.
It was terrible. But then we got Konate for 36 million in the summer, the player they did want in January, and now look at him. That World Cup semi-final we had yesterday was tremendous. If we don't start the final, it's daylight robbery, right? And so they've done bad, they've done good. They've done bad at the moment, right? But I also heard Jurgen Klopp with my own ears talk about, tell me what midfielder is better than what I got. And what I hate about the world at the moment we live in, yeah? Jurgen Klopp, a grown man speaking on a platform that he didn't need to speak on, by the way. He didn't need to go on the Anfield Wrap and do this. He went on a platform he wanted to speak on and made talk about the midfield, yeah? And then everyone's like, he didn't mean that. He's sticking up for the owners. He's a grown man. And he's called out the owners, by the way, before. You've seen him call out the owners a few times before. It's just... that sort of thing gets on my tits a bit.
I must admit though, Jay, like, the summer just gone. I'm trying to think back to the end of the summer. What was your feeling, with the activity we'd done? Because I must admit, I was over the moon with bringing in Nunes and Carvalho. I didn't know too much about Ramsey at the time, but I thought they were good signings. I still think they are, actually. I think they've got bags of potential.
Darwin,
and then obviously
great signing, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the midfield. It was just the midfield that was, we just needed to get a player in. But
that's the problem.
Yeah. But I didn't foresee, okay, we know Naby, we know Ox. I didn't quite foresee, all the other injuries that were to come. And like I say, some Jota, Diaz, you wouldn't have expected them injuries. Henderson, yeah, I'd have expected him to go out injured. One of Matip or Gomez would have been out, So some you thought might happen. Others are a bit of a surprise. But it's I thought the summer weren't too bad. I must admit, this summer gone.
It's just a midfielder. If we got a midfielder in, I think everyone would be a bit more. Darwin is looking like a good bit of business. Ramsey looks like a decent fullback. He came on the other day and looked very, very good, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Again, he looks like a decent player. It's just a midfield, ain't it? It's literally the midfield. If we got a midfielder, then I think everyone would be happy. But if we look at how few transfer windows gone, Konate's coming, Thiago's coming, Jota's coming, Ramsey's coming, Darwin Nunes is coming, Luis Diaz is coming. It's not terrible players, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean? It's not god awful. It's just we need more in the midfield front. We need more players in that midfield front, and that's what we need now.
I do think like the players that are so injury prone, they're a bit like a virus in this squad. They affect the overall performance, because if you look at this season, right, most match days we've had the better starting 11. And I've said this numerous times, and this has been part of my frustration this season, is like, yes, we had injuries. At one point we had like 11 players out. But if you looked at the names, you're like, yeah, okay, we could have done with them. But then look at the team sheet every week, and you're like, that's good enough to win. But it's like, when having all these injuries there's almost like that excuse going into the game week already. Do you know what I mean? And that was part of my frustration. It's like, I get we've got players out injured, but we should still be winning. We should still be beating Leeds and Forest and Fulham. We should still be winning these games. But it's like you go into every match day and all the build-ups like, oh, he's out. What they're going to do here? And I'm like, hold on a minute. We're still good enough to win. You need to put all that to the back of your minds and just go out there and do your job. it's frustrating, but it's about winning. And I just think that's why the likes of Naby and Ox and stuff in this squad now, they're a bit of a drain, really, because you're constantly talking about them, and it's always negative.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get a lot of these comments like Diaz a year late. Did anyone know that we're buying? Like, I just don't get. How was Diaz a year late? I don't get. We're always 2 transfer windows behind. The last 2 years we have been. I agree with you. The last 2 years we've been behind every year. I agree.
Do you know what though, Jamie? Sorry.
Before that, were we? I don't think so.
Do you know if we didn't? The only way we sniffed on Diaz, and getting him in earlier, was because Tottenham was sniffing. That's the kind of stupidness.
And
Barca. And Barca. That's the stupidness that we're doing. This is the problem. I don't think we're a season behind per transfer window per se, but you've got to get in some numbers, man, some decent quality numbers. If you're not going to play them, look at your Origi. He was never starting, but you had the right mentality. All right, at some point, players are going to get fed up. They're going to want to go and start every time. But if you can get players that are at a decent quality, that don't have to cost a lot, that can potentially give you problems or do the Origi thing, then that's all we need. We don't need £150 million players all the time to sit on benches. We just need players that are going to come in, that are reliable enough, and that shouldn't be a problem. And even some that are going to potentially force things, because we have players that are at certain ages now. We don't have like a young squad. We need to be looking at the Croatian defender that's a Liverpool fan, that's 19 years old and has got a beard bigger than Osama bin Laden, for God's sake. You get me? These players are the future, and if we don't start looking at them now, later on, if they're going to like your Napolis or something and then they command like 120 million, people are going to start asking questions. We need to act.
See this Gavadol, right? So say him, right? Again, I've not seen him really play for Leipzig, and when he does play for Leipzig, I think he plays left back only, or right back, or something like that. He don't actually play centre back.
He plays on the left,
yeah.
Fullback,
I've never really seen him at Leipzig that much that he stood out to me and thought, wow, he's all right. He's looked impressive for Croatia, right? Guess who's looked really, really impressive for Croatia in the last 2 World Cups? Dejan Lovren. Are we going to go and buy Lovren again? And everyone's telling me we shouldn't go and buy Amrabat because he's really good in the World Cup. But do you know what I mean? So why don't we go and buy Lovren again? Because if you ask me, he was better this World Cup. I saw Gravadol get, pulled apart at times and Lovren covering for him.
He's mature. He's matured a lot since he's gone.
Obviously, he got destroyed by Messi in the World Cup semi-final.
Who doesn't?
That's Messi. He might be 15 years older than him, but look, it's Messi. You're allowed that. You know what I mean? But
if he trains with Salah every day, he'll learn, won't he?
But you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, this is what I'm saying. When players when the fan base really likes someone, like a Gavin, say, who's looked very good in the World Cup, tremendous prospect at his age, right? And everyone likes him, and they've only seen him at the World Cup, and they're like, we should buy him. Doesn't matter if he's going to cost 100 million, he's the future. But when it's someone like Amrabat, who someone's not sure of, and you go, and they've just seen him at the World Cup, and they go, why you want to buy him? Because he looked good in the World Cup. We've been there before. Because he's not like, flavour of the week. They're not really liking him, but they love someone else. The fan base would be like, I've only seen that in the World Cup, but oh my God, what a player. Do you know what I mean?
He's not, Jay, the thing with Amrabat is he's not sexy, is he?
No,
you know what I mean? He plays for Morocco and is a defensive midfielder. Like, make that look good. Do you know what I mean?
I know everyone goes to the Salif Jow.
He does a job. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he
I know
does
everyone goes back to the Hawass Diouf and Salif Jow thing, don't they? The one thing I will say about Hawass Diouf at the World Cup, he did look like a killer. He did look like a world beater, I will admit. He looked, turned out to be a nasty piece of shit. But, Salif Jow is, that was terrible as well. But, at least Salif Jow comes back for Masters games and has a friendship with the club. Diouf's a piece of shit. But I will admit, at that World Cup, when I watched him, I was like, oh my God. And then when I heard what we were in for him, but it was between keeping Anelka or going.
Anelka should have stayed, man.
And Gerard Houllier went for Diouf. I was like, okay, fair enough. Diouf he looked immense at the World Cup. I think he got the goal of the tournament as well. He looked immense at the World Cup. And then when he played, he was like, why are we keeping Anelka? Whoa. Come in, bro. Jesus Christ, man. My kid just like smashed the door through. But
Can
yeah,
you remember the Euros when everyone wanted Damsgaard?
Oh yeah,
It's
what
gone
happened to
back
Damsgaard?
to
What's happened to Damsgaard? Like,
I didn't. I
has
think
he
he
got
was
Ericsson's
decent.
heart? That's what happened to Damsgaard. Did he get Ericsson's heart? Is that what's happened to him? Because he looks fucking shocking there, don't he? I mean,
I just don't think he plays, does he? He's gone Brentford. I don't think he plays much. But
no.
like the thing, not
Is
to
that
go back to
Brentford?
Yeah.
Is it Brentford? Yeah.
He just don't.
Oh yes. That's right.
The
That's right.
highlight in the night, you know, and everyone wanted him. But look, Amrabat. The thing I like about Amrabat, yeah, I saw him play against Spain and Portugal, especially, yeah, right? They didn't concede in any of them games. He was an absolute machine. His movement and energy and pace was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's getting pulled around the pitch, especially against Spain. Never lost his position. Had high energy for 120 minutes. Same against Portugal. Are you telling me you couldn't do that for Liverpool in the Premier League? So when I look at them kind of games, I'm looking at him thinking maybe he can do a job. Maybe he can do a job.
What he did last night was unreal.
Yeah, no, I mean, against I thought he was excellent again last night. Yeah, he got pulled about a little bit by exceptional players that play for France, by the way. I mean, that's can happen.
Do you know something, right? Fabinho, this is what's crazy, all right? Maybe a year ago or a year before, yeah. Fabinho was probably in the top 2 or 3 DMs in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that don't just drop like that. That's a nosedive of whatever sorts, whatever's going on. But these players are human, and I always believe, like, even when I play FIFA, I know it's not FIFA, all right, but you always get like someone to challenge you. When I look at Liverpool, the reason why Liverpool are this good is because they've looked at Man City, yeah, the 2 best managers in the league, or Rade, they play, they make each other so good, and that's so true. And that's what you need with your players. You need like a Moussa Diaby, or you need like a Amrabat, or something at a good quality that can keep you up there. Otherwise, you're just going to drop. And then when it drops and nothing happens, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, we need this, we need that, we need that. We could have prevented these things. Amrabat, we're talking about, I don't know how much he's going to cost now, 30 million, 35 million. We could have got him for 5 million last year or the year before. You know what I mean? Before the World Cup. To challenge Fabinho. If Fabinho isn't even on the challenge thing, that he's got issues at home or God knows what was going on, yeah? You know what I mean? You'd say, yo, have a break. You've been playing football for God knows how long, all right? Mm-hmm. This guy comes in. We never do that, and this is what our problem is. And who is that? Who do you blame? I don't really blame FSG. You know what I mean? I'm not FSG in.
Do you know what as well? Like, a lot of these players that won us the Champions League and the Premier League, they'd never won them competitions before. So they were still like making their name. They were still wanting to, that hunger, exactly. That's the right word. But then once they've done it. And I'm not saying that they're like happy with that and they're going to switch off and stuff, because that's not their personalities. We have a good bunch of fighters in that squad, but you do need the next player to come along, whether it be an Amrabat behind Fabinho or whatever, just to go, you know what? I know you're good, but you better be on your toes because I'm coming for your spot. Like, this is a top club and I'm still making my name and I'm ready to come and take that position off you. And we've just not had that. So whilst I think the players have like got great personalities and they're still fighting to be at the top, right? They've been fighting to win Premier Leagues for years. Like whether we won it in that year or we're losing by a point, they've been scrapping for seasons, for these major honours. And there is going to be a slight drop off, a year where they're just like, you know what? It's not quite gone right for us. Like this season, they'd have expected to win the league and they have a few bad results at the start of the season and they go, you know what? It's just not going to work out for us this season. I'm not saying they're saying it, thinking it, but subconsciously they're thinking, you know what, we're up against an absolute giant. We've already had a couple of bad results. We know we need to be inch perfect to win a league. Yeah, and then they drop by 5%. Whereas if you've got that guy like an Amrabat in behind Fabinho, go bang, you've been terrible 3 games. I'm in there. I'm proving my worth. Then suddenly, not only you're increasing the quality game by game, but you're giving Fabinho a kick up the arse. It's remarkable, really, that you've got players like Mane when we had him, Firmino and Salah that they were still incredible because they never really had anyone behind them to push them. Like Origi
psychologically,
sorry, hang on, guys, hang on. I just saw a link Pac-Man put in the chat. I went, what's that link about? It takes me to Super Sub-Gunda ones to cause the City the title in a 3-2 win against Villa. You fucker, Pac-Man.
Do you expect any better from Pac-Man? But big up.
Man, look, you got to
welcome back, Pac-Man.
Look. I love Pac-Man. He's the best Man City fan I know.
He's the only one, that's why, Jay.
Well, he got Daps as well. Daps is a good
you got Daps, GK's around. There's a few now.
But psychologically, what's it do to players? Like last year, they played every single game possible. They're exhausted as well. They don't have anyone that can you know what? Let me put my feet up. Not even let me put my feet up, but you know what? I'm human. You get me? And psychologically, the last how many years where we've only won one title, but we've been close and close enough. Close enough doesn't do it. And can you imagine that day you lose,
Oh. Nope.
No, Baz is not like
great point, though, Baz.
Great point, Baz.
It's true, though, isn't it? You imagine running a marathon, and then losing, coming second place behind someone by a minute, by 30 seconds, and then doing a northern marathon and losing behind them by a minute. It's going to take its toll. At some point, you're going to be like, I have to change something to try and, get the edge.
Do you know what it's like? It's like fucking your woman for 3 hours. And she wants to go again after 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's
John don't have that problem.
We call that Sunday at our house, John.
That's what it's like. Can you just let me hydrate and just have a warm down?
You fucking prick.
No. But no, look, guys. At the end, I just want to say this before we move on to the Dubai game because we're going to talk about that. What I will end up saying is that ownership of the football club, I'm going to say this right now. I don't really give a shit who owns a football club, as long as they're doing the right thing for the football club. As I keep saying, I'm a Liverpool Football Club fan. I'm not FSG fan. I'm not a Jurgen Klopp fan. I'm a Liverpool Football Club fan. If Liverpool are taken over by owners that people don't agree with or don't want as owners, it's not going to ruin my life. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to ruin my life. I'll keep doing shows. I'll keep supporting the club. I watch the club every single week. You know what I mean? It's not going to ruin anything for me. Some people I feel like are just like, if we don't get a Dubai or a Qatar or a Saudi sort of deal, then we're fucked. And we might be, but I still support Liverpool Football Club. Do you know what I mean? If my wife goes and loses her leg tomorrow, I'm still going to love my wife. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just, it's not. It's just that sort of thing. I'm not as upset about all the ownership thing as a lot of people are. Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting too if FSG stay for another 12 months. And although I think it's time for FSG to go, because even they're saying now they haven't got the ability to fund Liverpool properly going forward. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is the worst 12 months ever. I just get on with it and watch, and eventually they will sell and eventually someone will buy us. Part of me wants someone like FSG to buy Liverpool just to see the breakdown on Twitter.
Please no.
Just from the evilness of it, and the trollness of it, I want to see the breakdown on social media that if someone like FSG buys Liverpool Football Club, obviously I'd rather money come into the side. I just want the club looked after. As long as whoever takes over this football club looks after the football club and has the best interests in the football club, I don't care where they come from. I don't care if they come from Qatar with human rights issues. I don't care if they come from America who don't treat people rightly either and make guns that kids can go and blow buildings up and kids up with in schools and stuff like that. This hypocrisy around the world does my head in, I've just watched a World Cup in Qatar, where no Englishman got arrested for the first ever time in World Cup history. No Englishman got arrested abroad in a World Cup because they're not pissed out their head. Maybe, just maybe, that part of the world is showing us how we should behave. Just
in
maybe.
some respects.
Just maybe. Do you know what I mean? Just
some
maybe.
respects,
Yeah. So I'm not all for this hypocritical bullshit who owns a football club. Whoever takes over the football club, as long as they have the best interests in our football club going forward, and I don't care about this love for the football club, by the way. This myth that you got to love the football club and know how to run a football club. The people that own Man City, right? They don't really know how to own a football club. What they did very smartly is employed everyone who knows how to run a football club and put them in charge of it, and they're the money men, right? That's what you do, yeah? FSG didn't know how to run a football club at first. That's why we're buying people like Andy Carroll, yeah? And Stuart Downing and shit like this, yeah? Then they employed people who sort of know how to run a football club, and the transfers got better. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it going forward, guys. So yes, I think it's FSG's time to go. Yes, I want new owners, as long as they look after the football club and they invest into the football club and have the club at heart. I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't care who owns us. I'm just putting that on the end of it. Now, back
we've been successful. We've done decent enough, even with FSG. So
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Imagine
a problem.
we got the Glazers, you know.
Yeah.
It's another thing with the Glazers.
I saw that.
It's another thing with the Glazers, yeah? Right? Man United have spent more... Right, so everyone's problem with FSG is finances on the pitch, yeah? Right? It's finances on the pitch. That's all it is. Right?
Yeah.
Glazers they've not spent any of their money because it comes out of Man United, yeah? But under their ownership, they're under the Glazers' ownership of Man United, their revenues have doubled in their ownership, yeah? They've got things like that correct, yeah? And then they use the money in the club and release funds, yeah? Man United spend more money in Man City, yeah? Man United just bought Ronaldo and Varane and people like that in one transfer window, and Jadon Sancho and things like that. So
wage bill.
That's why I never get worried about Man United being taken over. Everyone's going, oh, if Man United get taken over, we're all in trouble. Not really. They spend 200 million every summer anyway. They buy players like Varane, Jadon Sancho, Ronaldo.
The thing with them is they might, if someone buys them, I'm not worried about the buying in terms of funds. I'm worried about if someone buys them and they actually start getting people that know how to manage a football club and build jacuzzis and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Ragebot, I'm not saying that they're totally harmless and what they're doing over there is right, but in this country we have food banks for the poorest people in this country that the government don't look after and don't feed. We've just we're losing young little kids because there's not enough antibiotics in this country to help them with sepsis, because of Brexit and all things like that. So I can't. We've armed terrorists. Don't forget that, guys. Every country does things wrong. Do you know what I mean? America, look what America are doing. It's just, what is it? Donald Trump didn't want Muslims in the country, for goodness sake. How dare he? You know what I'm saying? No country, is right or wrong in the way they run their country. And what happened over Qatar, if people were being lashed and all that, that's bad. Don't get me wrong. But I watched a Euros final. I watched a Euros final in this country at Wembley, which should have been massively celebrated. That's English fans, yeah. And what did we see before the game started? Pathetic English fans breaking into Wembley that didn't have tickets, pissed out their nut, causing fights on the street and causing issues in the stadium. That goes around the world. What have we seen at Dubai? None of that. Or Dubai, Qatar, none of that. So we got to stop. There's issues in every country around the world. Every country runs their country differently. We have no right to tell Qatar how they should run their country. Do you know what I mean? It's their country. If we go over to, I've gone to countries where I've got to obey by their rules. Yeah, I obey by the rules. I have the time of my life. Do you know what I mean? Abide by their rules. I have time of my life. What's wrong with that? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. I have time of my life, man. I went to Milan once, yeah, and I went in the Duomo Theatre, right? The Duomo Chapel, the biggest chapel in Europe, right? In the middle of Milan Square, right? Duomo Square, yeah. Right. Obviously, me and Lauren were there before we had kids, yeah. So we're young and fit back then, right? And we're going in the cathedral to have a look at it, yeah. And it's a very hot day. So Lauren had like a strappy top on, but she had a shoulder showing, yeah. She had a tit showing, everything. But
Yeah, that's what I knew.
and she had to buy something to cover up her top half because of respect. Yeah, otherwise she couldn't go in the building. No one kicked off. I didn't go. That's fucking outrage. I want to go in this million-old building. You shouldn't tell me what to do. No, you respect where you are. You know what I mean? I'm in another country. It's their cathedral. It's their cathedral. It's the biggest in Europe. It's an amazing looking thing. I wanted to go and have a look. So you respect their country. I have no idea why we still talk about it. I don't know why I'm going on about it. I'm having a political rant in a football conversation, but yeah, it just pees me off, you know. LBCJ.
Jamie's the Prime Minister, man.
It just does my nutting. It just does my nutting. But yeah, Dubai Cup 2022. We got AC Milan tomorrow, guys. Now
I hope we lose, so we ain't got to do a fucking cringy trophy lift at the end of it.
we can't. Arsenal already won it, ain't they?
We can't win it.
Why can't we win it?
Because Arsenal already won it. Arsenal won.
How?
They won both their games. Yeah, Arsenal.
I don't follow Arsenal friends in this, believe it or not. So yeah, it's fine.
Jamie for president and Rod's as first lady, you know. But no, look, the Dubai Cup, it's a friendly competition. All these teams are playing friendlies at the moment. You got to play a friendly. You can't have 5 weeks off, you know, and then you got to play these friendlies. What are we expecting tomorrow, guys? Darwin's back now. Do we think Darwin will play?
No, Darwin. I can't see Darwin in this playing anymore.
I think Darwin will play some part, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he'll be on the bench. I think this is our last friendly, isn't it? Before we play Man City in the Cup, I think he'll want to get him some minutes. Yeah, I think he'll want to get him some. But to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure what you guys thought, but obviously the result in the last game was disappointing, but the performance was quite surprising. I thought like it started out quite well. Obviously got an early goal, but I thought like the lads looked pretty sharp, and you thought, okay, it seems like they've not really had much of a break, which they haven't really. It's only been a few weeks. And then it just really, you know, fell flat, didn't it? And then it was like,
the subs and all the rest of it.
This is a bit worrying, yeah. So now looking ahead to this game, I'm thinking, okay, we need to see a certain level of performance from some players, because we're going to be straight back into a knockout competition when we play the next game. So there has to be an improvement in this game.
No, there has to be a big improvement, because that game against Lyon was like, this is awful. Look, I said it in my video the other day when I reviewed it. I was like, my problem is, when I did the watch along at the beginning of the season, I saw some issues with the team. I said this. Everyone came to me and went, Jay, it's pre-season, don't worry. When we play the real games, when it starts again, we play the real games, you'll see the real Liverpool. I saw us draw the Crystal Palace and Fulham in our first 2 games. Then I saw us get annihilated by Man United.
That was the one that made me think, you know, we got problems. Even though we had like a whole different squad, it was, you could see what was happening.
Yeah. But you're right though, Jay, because like you and I, we were talking, weren't we, throughout the preseason, and we were like, it's just about fitness, you know, like when it gets going in the, you know, real competitions, we'll be fine. But then we were also talking about, this ain't quite been good enough. Like we've not seen, there's the boys.
Look at Simicast. The nerve what he's wearing.
What I can't work out is why some lads are in shorts and t-shirts, some are in like hoodies.
That was in a hoodie, man.
Some are in hoodies. Adrian's got jeans on. Like, what the hell? Is it hot or not?
Mo actually looks the best out of all of them.
Mo looks on holiday.
Mozart, I'm used to this, boys. Let me show you what you're meant to wear, you know.
He's the only one that's got nothing on his feet.
Yeah.
Man, the Simicast. What the fuck are you wearing?
You don't wear shoes on sand, do you?
Is that Pitaluga? Fuck me.
Pitaluga, yeah.
Look at Bobby, man.
Is that half a melon next to Carvalho? Who the fuck is
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him. Yeah. He just looks like someone's dad, don't he?
He looks like he sells
He just looks like someone's dad who's on a piss up in Dubai. And Carvalho
What's-
looks a bit.
What's
and
Carvalho doing?
Why does Carvalho look trans, or is that just me?
I was thinking that myself. He doesn't look right.
Looks a bit like you, John.
I know. You fucking bogey prick.
School trip.
Don't worry, mate.
It's like a school trip.
In between us three.
Oh, yeah, and literally in between is exactly what came into my head. Actually, you got there before me.
Oh, best comment, Alex. Best comment. Oh, go on, my man. Go on.
But you know what? You think that last game, right? We've got the team sheet up here. Kelleher in goal, right?
Yeah, go on.
Everyone's banging on about how good of a number 2 he is, and I agree with it. Then Milner at right back, obviously plays there for his time to time. Matip, Gomez, Robertson, solid, absolutely fine. Elliot, Pacetic, Thiago. So only Pacetic in that midfield is, second and third choice option, call it what you will, right? Then you got Salah, Firmino, and Carvalho. Now that team's decent. I'm expecting I'm expecting a good performance out of that because there's more than half of the first team is in that squad. And to get a performance like that, I know it's only a friendly. I know it's only about, getting sharpness back into the legs and all of this and that, but you kind of just expect more. And I am a little bit concerned, just going back to the point I was making, Jay. It's like me and you were watching them preseason games going, they're throwing loads of kids in. I get that. But then like some performances are just a bit worrying. And I've come away from that Lyon game trying to tell myself, it's just a friendly, it'll be absolutely fine. But there is a part of me that's a bit like, it is a little bit concerning. Does this team need to have every single first choice option in it to put on a level of performance?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Can we not rotate 2 or 3 players and the levels not drop? Is that where we're at now?
That's what it looks like at the minute.
It does look like it. That is the issue. As you said, that's a decent 11 we put out.
I'm expecting, and maybe wrongfully so, I'm expecting a performance that you would expect in like a league game or whatever. Maybe drop off towards the end if you are still 1 or 2 players aren't fully fit, or you win in the game or whatever. I don't know, but I'm expecting to see like tempo, like the lads just rolling out as if it's another league game and putting in a good performance, and they didn't quite do that.
This is the issue I have. I spoke about it the other day as well. Our academy is horseshit.
Yeah.
Look, I know you can't do. Like, I look at Arsenal at the moment. Like they've won 2 easy games in this Dubai Cup. They've made it look actually quite easy. They've got no Martinelli. They've got no Saka. They've got no Gabriel Jesus. Them 3 are not there. That's their 3 starting forwards. Yeah. You got no Ben White there at the moment. No Ramsdale. They've won them 2 games. Piece of piss, man. And they've got good youngsters. Our good youngsters are Elliot and Carvalho, Ramsey, Ben Doak. As I keep saying, all youth players that we didn't produce. There is, when the academy kids come on, it's like, I don't get it. I know we've got to take enough. We haven't got enough players for the full squad in this training exercise. I do understand that. So he filled it up with kids. But my feeling is, even if we did have a full team, I think he'd still play all these kids. And what I said about it in pre-season, and I say it now, I know it's a shop window. That's why they do it sometimes. They play these kids in pre-season games or things like that because it's a shop window for them, showing what they can do. I can understand that. But as I keep saying, when in pre-season, when them kid youngsters played more than our first team did, I kept saying, if they're not going to be part of the first Premier League game of the season, why are they playing so much? Because I think we didn't look fit at the beginning of the season. That's my thing. And Klopp said it as well.
Fulham outrun,
Klopp, we haven't outrun anyone this season.
Yeah.
And that's a fitness issue as well. And Klopp's made light of it. He actually said
the tiredness issue.
The pre-season weren't long enough. So they went all the way last season playing 64 games, was it? Something ridiculous like that. Got to every final of every competition and went to the last day in the Premier League. I mean, that's unheard of, That is unheard of, right? And then you have a pre-season where there's no football, but they play Nation League games. Why, I don't know. But there's no real football. Everyone's resting about. I mean, Mo Salah signs his contract on holiday, for goodness sake. Now, everyone's resting and chilling. So they had a decent summer break. Then they come back, and it's quite a small pre-season because of the World Cup. Yeah. But then we don't look fit enough. But then I look at Man City, only played 2 games in pre-season and looked fucking sharp.
Yeah.
So
Jay, it feels like we
There's an
always
issue.
have an
There's
excuse.
an
It feels
issue.
like we always have an excuse with fitness. Either we're playing too many games, or there's too much of a break and they've lost match sharpness. Like we always, I don't know if it's just because we follow Liverpool and other fans are the same, but we always seem to be looking at fitness and like build up to games and these pre-seasons and stuff. And it's like, why are we?
Or injury prone.
Yeah.
I think we're better when we play week. I think we're better. I think Liverpool are better when they just play game weekend, game midweek, game weekend. I'll get it in a minute, sort of. Right, when we play, that's how you deal with it, right? Where's my drink? You play a game.
Fuck's sake,
First class parenting. You play a game weekend, midweek.
Wait, guys in the
week,
chat,
weekend,
don't take parenting advice from Jamie.
when you got 3 kids, you're allowed to do it. You know, it's a period where you can get like you've had enough. I think Liverpool better when they got their full strength team, no injuries. Liverpool have their full strength team. I do think they're better with the more games they play. But we're doing that this season. We're playing loads of games because of the World Cups. We were playing 3 games a week. But the problem is Liverpool have only got 16 players because everyone's dead.
Yeah, but that's the point, though, Jay. Like we are better when we play regularly, and we are better when everyone's fit. I get that, but if we've got, like I just listed that team there, if we've got three players out from the first team, the drop off shouldn't be that big. If we're playing once a week instead of every 3 days, the drop off shouldn't be that big. No. Do you know what I mean? We're Liverpool Football Club. That can't be the level. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I'm disappointed in these, like the preseason and that last game. You know, and I'm looking for more from tomorrow's game because that shouldn't be the level. That's, you know, we should be able to take 3 players out of the first team and put in the second choice options, and the performance not be so much of a big drop off. Exactly. You know, we should be beating a Leon side with virtually our first team -3. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that should be the level. That should be the performance.
Who would have played that game? Allison, if he was there.
Ali, yeah. You'd have
Darwin, probably.
Trent at right back. Fab instead of
Bissetti. Probably Canate, Allison, Trent, and Darwin. You know what I mean?
That's good enough. That is good enough.
So, yeah, but like Carvalho's in there. Like he's a backup option. You say Elliott, he's actually a first teamer now. You say Baccetic is number 2 to Fabinho at the minute. You say Milner's number 2 to Trent at the minute.
You say that, but you know what? You'll never get it. You'll never get the games. I mean, I agree with you. It should be number 2.
This is why we're after.
Yeah, but this is the annoying thing because these players have potentials. You see that Baccetic, yeah, great player, but is he ever going to get it? I don't know. You know, as soon as Acrobat comes in, if Acrobat comes in, you ain't going to see this guy anymore. And this is why we don't get in youths. Our youths are not that great. That's what it's doing my head in, man. Honestly.
I mean, I really like Carvalho. I like Baccetic. I think they've got something about them. But this is why I mentioned it earlier. Them 2 players should be on loan. They shouldn't be in this Liverpool squad.
Yeah, I agree.
And that pre-season game, that team right there that played that game against Leon is the team that you should expect to see in a league game after a Champions League game in the week. Say we play on a Wednesday and then we're playing again on a Sunday. And we have to rotate out a few players. You'd end up with that team. But that team ain't good enough.
Do you know what, Cav? You're going to see more of Carvalho because obviously with the injuries of like, you know, Diaz and whatnot, he's going to have to play. I mean, the problem is it's not in his position that he's going to excel in. That's what worries me. When these other guys come back, this guy's a 10. He was epic for Fulham last year. We don't play with a 10. And this guy's never... I love the guy, but he's never going to succeed. That's what
our system. That's why I always said
this is it. So why buy him?
Yeah, exactly.
It's annoying.
One thing I will say. So obviously we have injuries. Yeah, certain man back in the team. All right, and then they decide this is a good idea. Right?
Is that Milner?
He looks like he's going to fall.
That's Adrian.
He looks like he's going to fall.
Is it?
Yeah. Naby is like. He is the most injury-prone footballer I've ever seen in my life, right? And someone at our club thought it was a great idea to whack him on a camel. Whose bright idea was that? I think Mo Salah took this picture and put it on Instagram.
He plays like a camel.
No, here, buzz.
Where was Klopp when this was
better
happening?
than fucking him.
Where was Klopp when this was happening? What? Where's
John?
Pep Linders when this is happening? Oh, yeah. Can you imagine Pep going to Klopp? Oh, yeah, Naby's on a camel. What?
Nah, let him live,
beer.
man. Let him live.
Get him off. Get him off the fucking camel.
They
He's
got
falling. He's falling. I'm
You do
surprised he
know-
didn't fall off. We didn't
you
get
do
a
know
news saying
Naby-
that he fell off the camel.
You do know Naby sprained his ankle getting off.
Yeah, come on.
Did you see him? Did you see him when the camel was going up? He was frying for his life.
He looks...
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
Dortmund is so late in over the I can't pronounce his name.
Musiala. Oh, no.
Mussolowski.
Mussolowski, yes. No.
I mean, where is this kid? I mean, all
Liverpool
I heard
don't
last
rate
season
him,
was...
man. Liverpool don't rate him. It's as simple as that.
And this is another point, right? This is why it's hard to get so excited about get excited over someone like Ben Doak, because I've heard the same things about Doak that I'm hearing about Mussolowski. And this guy didn't show up. Like, we boost our youth players so much, and then they never make it. They go on loan to bloody like Blackburn or.
Do you know just this same guy? Yeah, the Polish guy. Yeah, yeah. I think there's something about something to do with Arsenal. His dad's making a lot of noise. That's why Klopp's not playing him.
Right.
Doak, I know you just come from Celtic and that. Yeah, I think brilliant.
There's rumours. I don't know if these rumours are true. I just heard them, but there's rumours he's got a bad attitude as well in the youth setup, because apparently his dad's very, very involved.
Yeah, something like that
in his career.
If that's the case, then he can fuck off.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's true or not, but yeah, but look, there's about Stefan Baggett, or however you say his fucking name. I can't remember.
pull up Alex's comment, please.
He fell off the crane. He fell off a camel crazy.
I swear to God, if I have to go on Naby's injury record and there's a friggin' under reasons
camel
fell off
in Dubai.
I am.
I ain't getting on a fucking camel.
I mean,
when I was in Morocco with me and Lauren were in Morocco once on holiday, and they brought a camel into the hotel for everyone to go on. You know how scary them fuckers are. I ain't going on one of them. Fucking mad, and I ain't even injury prone. Naby's a nutter. But yeah, talking about players like Stefan, yeah, in our midfield, right? Everyone's talking about is the next DM possibly. Go. He's the next DM possibly. I'm sorry. He's the next DM to come into like Liverpool. We've got to give him a chance and all that, yeah. Right. The problem is, yeah, I don't think Klopp rates him. I know. With skinny legs. Right, let me kill this kid.
Captain Sal's.
It's Captain Sal's one. It hurts, man. It hurts. This Besetic, yeah, he's not going to get the chance, man. Not going to get the chance.
He could be a very quality player for us, and that's what really annoys me. He has a talent there.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, Klopp likes a certain player who's gone on loan to Blackburn. That's who Klopp rates, I think, in front of Stefan.
I watched Blackburn the other night. They're on Sky during the World Cup, and he's grown a bit, to be fair. But
yeah, he's actually quite big now, ain't he? When you see him, but I think Klopp prefers him. I think that's why he's gone on loan to Blackburn. I think Klopp trusts Blackburn because Thingy went there, Harvey went there, and I think Klopp trusts Blackburn to improve.
That's our new signing in the summer.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think he plays in front when they're fit. I think he plays in front of Stefan, and then look, we're looking, in that area. But look, big up Jam Rocker as well for another super chat, my friend. Liverpool via Klopp is ruining the kid. Give him playing time, loan him or sell him. We just keep him in limbo, doing nothing. Klopp can do one. Ooh, Jam Rocker with the violence, man. He's right in a way.
No, but I agree with him. There's not a lot of questions being spoken about Klopp, and there needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, Klopp is always going to get away with a lot. I love Jurgen Klopp. We all love Jurgen Klopp, right? He's our best Premier League manager. There's no doubt about that. We all adore him. but he will always get away with a lot of stuff because the hatred for FSG, right? My worry for Jurgen...
Jimmy, let's not forget, we used to be mined by Roy Hodgson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Don't swear on this channel.
when we get new owners in...
Sorry, boss.
New owners might not... If they give Jurgen a lot of money, but Jurgen still don't win leagues, Jurgen ain't guaranteed to be staying at this football club.
Mate, he's getting sacked one time.
So, you know what I mean? So... You know, let's see how it goes. But I love Jurgen Klopp a bit, so I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't love Jurgen, man. I love the guy, and I want him to stay at Liverpool Football Club. Yes, he's not a perfect manager, and there's things to his management that you can question. But I can do that against any manager, really. Every manager's got the same sort of thing, you know. But I do love Jurgen. But yeah,
Jamrock's point's dead right though, and it's the point.
Jamrock's right with his point, and that's one of Jurgen's flaws. There's nothing wrong with having flaws in a human being.
It was the point that I was trying to make earlier, whereby like there's players in this squad that should just be out on loan, because they're just not quite good enough yet. But there's enough ability there that they might come good. So get them out on loan and replace them with lads that can actually help the squad now. You know what I mean? Because Bacetić next season maybe, but this season I can't really see him. Yeah, okay, he'll be around for the cup games, but you know, come like Premier League and Champions League, I can't see him starting a game. I can't. And then Curtis gets injured all the time. I'd be saying to Curtis, look, you've got enough attributes there. I think you can be a good player, but you need to go out and prove it. You need to play week in, week out and show us that you're worthy of being in this starting 11. Just send him out alone and give him that opportunity. You know,
sorry, mate, but Curtis Jones can go fucking do one.
John, stop it, man.
I want to see.
Curtis Jones is not good enough for Liverpool Football Club.
You can't say that, bro. Don't even go there.
How many chances has he had?
He's not had no chances, bro.
He's still young.
He's play for fucking Burnley.
He's still young.
There's one thing I will say.
He's only 21 years old. All right, the guys have not treated him right. He needs to go out on loan. He'll come back. He'll do bits.
He can do one. He can go play for Burnley and
I want to see what a Curtis Jones can do in a full season.
You know what? The only way you make a player better is by playing him.
I want to see what I feel for Curtis is, it's very hard to get in our 11, right? Our 11 when they do play, you know, trying to get a Salah out of his position, or a Bobby, or a Jota, or a Darwin, or a Luis Diaz. That's extremely difficult. Yeah, that is extremely difficult. The midfield area, I think that is where Jurgen should be looking at the youngsters sometimes. If they are good enough, give them a go, because, you know, would I prefer a Stefan Bacetich coming on to a James Milner in some games? Maybe. I can't see why that's an issue. You know, things like that maybe he can do, but in certain areas in our pitch, you know, it's very, very difficult to replace a lot of these players. So a player like Curtis Jones, for me, needs to go on loan for a year at a club that will give him 12 months of a whole season of playing. And if he's still jank at the end of that season, then Liverpool know he's never going to be anything. Then you can tell him.
Yeah, absolutely.
The longer you keep him at the club, the longer you keep him at the club and not playing him, and bit by bit, you're never going to know. You're never going to know.
My argument to that there would be, if you were sending Curtis Jones out on loan next season for a full season, right? By the time he comes back to Liverpool, Liverpool's had 3 transfer windows to buy midfielders, right? So if he can't break into the squad before then, he's not going to break into the squad when he comes back to Liverpool.
No, so John, this is where I disagree.
How do you know, John? You can't say that, John.
I respect Curtis Jones as a player.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're talking about sending him off to Burnley, mate.
What I don't want to do is I don't want to ruin the kid's football career. Football career only lasts so long. So then if you're not going to make it at Liverpool, then
how do you know he's not going to make it at Liverpool, John?
You're wasting his time sending him out low.
How do you know he's not going to make it at Liverpool, John?
But he's had too many chances.
Nah,
he's 21, John. Like the guy was good.
We're still calling him a kid. He's not a kid.
Yeah, but John, he is at 21.
Bro, he's 21. How old is Harvey Elliott and Carvalho? They're not 12-year-olds, you know. They're around the same age, and they've had games played, like consistent games played.
They show more potential than Curtis Jones shows.
No, yeah, because he doesn't play no games, John. He doesn't play a full season. Look at Harvey when he went on loan at Blackburn, he was doing bits. Look at Carvalho last year. You can't say that, bro. He needs to go on a whole year's worth of loan. Yeah, bring him back. Let's see what he's about and whatnot. Yeah, make a judgment. Don't make a judgment now.
Hey, so you send him out loan, right? Send him out loan, right? Say in the summer we saying Angel Fernandez, we saying Jude
Come
Bellingham,
on, bruvs. Come on.
we saying Amrabat. Are you really telling me that Curtis Jones stands a single chance?
Yes, he does, because he don't play in that
Breaking
same position.
no
He don't play as a
chance.
DM, bruvs.
No chance.
He doesn't play as a DM, bruvs. So he won't be playing in
He's
DM.
going to get in over ahead of Jude Bellingham.
How did
Amrabat,
Harvey Elliott
Angel
get in?
Fernandez,
How did Harvey Elliott get into
Harvey
this
Elliott,
squad?
Carvalho.
How did
Henderson.
Harvey Elliott get back from Blackburn into the squad?
Because we didn't have the good enough. He was good enough to break into the team.
So how do you know
Curtis
Curtis Jones without a whole season on loan or at a decent team, yeah, doesn't break in?
Is he better than any of them players I just mentioned?
Bro, he's been at Liverpool long enough.
Do you know what?
He's been there long enough. He still hasn't broken into the first team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but John, here's the thing, right? When he played under 21s and the younger age groups than that, he was like a number 10 and he was a goal scoring 10. Check his stats, he was
I
good,
agree.
right?
We played him in the wrong position.
He was good enough for Klopp to bring him into the first team fold, right? And then he's been played all over, right? Never got a cemented position.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And then he's got injuries, which hasn't helped him, right? But at the age of 21, he is still progressing. Like he is still gonna go on to get better with like right. And he does have attributes, right, that you can build on. He's tall, he's strong, he's got good ball retention, 100%. You know. But and I'm happy to keep him in the squad, given that he's on low wages, right? And he's just signed that new deal earlier in the year. But for his development and for the benefit of Liverpool, I believe that he should go out on loan, play 38 games in a league season, okay, and for Liverpool to bring in somebody that can offer more to the squad now, and then see where he's at after that loan. Because at the age of 21, with games under his belt, right, and being an important player in a team as well, that we can genuinely assess him after that to see whether he's good enough.
I agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely,
I agree with what you're saying. But if he hasn't broken the first team fully already, now no one can tell me he hasn't had chances. He's had chances.
He hasn't had consistent chances, John.
I agree. He's not getting played in his right position, right? So for him as a footballer's career doesn't last very long. It goes by too quickly. So for his career, it's not better for him, not Liverpool, but better for him to maybe move on and start his career elsewhere. No,
because you know what? Harvey Elliott's come. He hasn't come as a right forward. He's come back as a midfielder. How do you know he can't go to Dortmund or go to a Blackburn or go to another team, right, and make himself a midfielder and then play in midfield as opposed to a left forward or as opposed to a this or as opposed to that? The guy's got.
But I don't want to waste Harvey Elliott. I don't want to waste Curtis Jones' career.
But is he not wasting one season's not wasting a career? It's actually making or breaking.
And the experience would do him good. He's been at Liverpool for most of his football career. 100%. Like he probably needs to change his scenery just to give him that experience.
Right,
like, look at
he was at loan, right? He was at loan to say Bournemouth, right? And he does have to outstanding Bournemouth. He makes a career at Bournemouth. Would the fair thing not be just turn and say, "No, it is. Just stay there. You're doing well."
No, not really. Because if he's good at Bournemouth and Liverpool, and we have him here, you know what he can do something for Liverpool. It will mean more because he's a Scouser as well. So he wants to play. But how do you think he's feeling right now?
I totally agree with everything you are saying.
No, you're telling sell him off, bruvs.
I would love nothing more than Curtis Jones to prove me wrong. But I just don't think he's good enough to play for Liverpool Football Club.
At this moment, yeah, which is why he needs to go on loan. But you can't just shop him off to, like, you know what I mean? Like
the thing is, John, Curtis has had good games for Liverpool. Like he could have a good game for Liverpool, and then next game will roll around and Klopp will pull him out.
Absolutely.
And that's the trouble. He's never going to break into that Liverpool team because quite simply there's too many other good options.
He's never been consistent, and that's because he's getting played out of position.
Yeah, so he needs an opportunity to be consistent, and for me, that's a loan.
Absolutely.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I think my mic cut out a bit. Well, look, with the Curtis Jones thing, I don't want to go on too long, but the Curtis Jones thing, he has a good game against
Napoli, yeah.
Had a great game, never played again. But he got injured. So I'm not sure. With Curtis Jones, I'm like, look, we probably got to keep him on because it's the homegrown quarter. He's 21 now, so he counts. So I think that's why Liverpool got to keep him on next season. But I do agree with everyone. He does need to move on, and I want to see him play somewhere for a year to see what he actually does, because he's played 80 games for Liverpool, but they're so bit part. They're like 1 week and then 6 months later and a few games, and he needs to go somewhere where Liverpool can see how well he actually plays for 9 months in a season. And if he's still like average, Liverpool can go, right, people have seen him play for 9 months now. We'll make a nice bit of money on him. We'll release him. But at the moment, I can see why Liverpool keep him. Big up Wolves FI. Big up to you for the super chat as well. Much love, my friend. Thank you very much. Big up Jamrock as well. Good Jones will fill one of the homegrown spots, as he says, like me. Big up Jamrock for the super chat as well. Thanks for all the super chat, guys. Let's talk. Let's just finish this off. What the hell? Let's just finish this off. Score predictions for tomorrow and who you think will play. Cav, what do you reckon the first 11 will be tomorrow?
So you'll have to remind me who's back. Nunes is back.
Yeah, Darwin's back. I think Darwin's the only one.
I think everyone apart from Konate, isn't it?
Yeah. No, Alisson's gone on holiday. I think he said Alisson and Fabinho and that will come back to England.
Yeah, and I think
Hendel's not back yet, is he?
Hendo and Trent are back. They're getting a week.
They're going to meet the team back in England. So it's what we got there with Darwin.
Yeah, Hendo come back just to say hi, I think, and then off he went again. Fair play, he's captain, and he's doing his captain duties. I think it might be much of the same, to be honest, Jamie. I don't think there'll be much change from the team that played against Lyon. I don't think Nunes will start, but I think he'll probably play a half, probably the second half. Yeah, I mean, what other options are there, to be honest? I mean, if there's no one coming back, first teamers coming back, then the team that played against Lyon is the team against Milan, I think.
Yeah, and will Origi start for Milan against Liverpool?
100%.
He probably will.
I guarantee. If he does, I guarantee he scores.
Well, scores tomorrow, guys. What we're going, Cav?
2-1 Liverpool.
2-1. Baz?
3-2 Milan.
3-2 Milan. John?
Fuck's sake.
It's a score, mate. It's got nothing to do with
It's like you've asked John the hardest question in the world.
Come on, Curtis Jones hat-trick. Come on.
It took him 2 seconds to decide to sell Curtis Jones, but he can't get a scoreline.
Because I know what's going to happen. I don't like saying scorelines things, but it's going. I think we're going to lose, and it'll be 4-1 AC Milan.
Right, considering 2 people have predicted a loss, right? Is anybody concerned going into the Man City game and then the league games after this?
We're going to get fucking rolled over.
Well,
I don't think we'll get rolled over. I think we'll do all right.
The game's going to be interesting, man. What is it? The 22nd. It's next Thursday.
We always play well against City.
It's next Thursday. Is it Anfield as well?
No. It's at the Etihad.
Right, it's at the Etihad.
Etihad.
The soon to be expanded Etihad.
I think you know what
they're expanding the Etihad.
I think everyone's going to be back for that game. Everyone will be back for that game because it's next Thursday. There's no reason we won't have a Hendo back. You know, how long do they need off, man? I mean, I know Klopp wants to give them a little break when they come back, but, you know, when did England go out? Was it last week, wasn't it? Was it last weekend?
Tuesday.
Saturday, wasn't it?
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. So that's all this week. And then to next Thursday, there's no reason why Hendo, Alisson and all that won't be in the team. They should be as well. And for me...
Well, Fabinho and Trent virtually just had a holiday.
Yeah, no, they didn't do nothing. For me, these boys, I think we have to play our full strength team. I don't want to see mixed 11 against Man City in the cup. I know it's the League Cup and everyone's going, "What you on about, Jay?" But I think we got to start coming back to this season and hitting the ground because we got no time for getting into it slowly because we are sixth in the league. You know, this ain't a second. We have got to go. And I think if you play your full strength team against City, try and get something in that City game, even try and win that game, give yourself a bit of momentum, and then carry that on against Aston Villa on Boxing Day. Because
we need to win that.
Yeah, our fixtures are quite nice. They're not difficult fixtures.
Yeah.
And Liverpool need to be winning their games over the Christmas New Year period.
Oh, Jay, I'm right with you. Like, I'm not turning my nose up at domestic cups, you know. Thinking about how hard it's going to be. The league's gone and Champions League's hard anyway. I mean, it won't be beyond us to have a terrible season and win the Champions League, but that's a hard ask. I'm not turning my nose up at any silverware. No. So if we can get past Man City, we've got a real chance in that competition, right? And in a season that we've had that's been pretty poor, look, if it ends up being a really poor season, a transition season, call it what you will, but you can still pick up trophyware. It's just a little bit of a silver lining, ain't it? You know,
I want everything silver. Everything's silver. We ain't winning no Premier League, so you know what?
I don't care what we win. It's all
at the end of the day, we're the holders of this trophy. We're the holders.
Yeah,
we should be proud of that and defend it.
Go and retain it. Look,
so
at the end of the day, your honours shows how successful you are, and I want to keep us in front of Man United. Yeah, right. Yeah. So if we go and win an FA Cup again this season, a League Cup again this season,
what's the problem?
Might not see a success, but where we are right now, that is a successful season.
100%.
So let's just keep winning trophies. Play a full team against City. Let's get this game out of the way. We've get the players fit. Get them back in. They fly back to England over the weekend. Then we've got the League Cup Thursday. Boxing Day, we've got Aston Villa, and we move on, guys. But guys, we're going to end there. It's been a great show. Thanks for coming on, guys. Do appreciate it. I'm going to be back. Well, I'm going to have tomorrow off, guys. I'm having tomorrow off. And then I'll be back on Saturday for our debate show in the evening. So it should be a fun one. We're going to be debating actual world-class footballers. Obviously, we're going to debate the Messi versus the Ronaldo thing and just try and put that to bed once and for all, who is actually the greatest of all time. But we're also going to look at world-class footballers because I believe there's only 10 world-class footballers in the world.
Jude.
George, let's say in it. Sorry, John.
And in this era right now.
Oh, guys, John.
So, right now, I believe there's only 10 world-class players in the world, and we overrate so many professional footballers. And that's what that debate show is going to be on about. So hopefully you guys can join me for that. I think Savage is going to be joining us for that as well. So that's going to be a good show. And hopefully we've got Cal from Coppish joining us as well. So, yeah, It should be a good show Saturday night. And, I'm really looking forward to that because I've got a lot of sound debate stuff. There's too many players get called this and that and, just saying average. So
I'll give you mine. Curtis, Jude, Amrabat.
Oh, there's loads
Enzo.
Of players. There's loads of
Who
players.
else is flavour of the month?
There's loads of players. Jadon Sancho, he was played for the month at Borussia Dortmund. Who's
number 8 from Morocco?
Is he just actually an okay footballer? There's all these things to talk about. It's going to be a good debate. I think there's going to be a few arguments, especially when it comes to Messi versus Ronaldo. But
it'd be a good show, Jay. Be a good show.
Saturday night, 8 p.m, guys. Don't forget. So make sure you hit the notification bell. Saturday night, 8 p.m. We'll see you all then, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night and